Okay, how you would get her, you guys all know, just be a low jab if you're moving around. Okay, we start from this position. I'm going to come in with a back fist. The minute you get into the, feel this energy here, you usually a line open here, then you just come back up again with a knee and then a headbutt. Okay, so the rhythm should sound something like this: 1, 2, 3, boom, and then come in with a headbutt. All I want you to do is hit with the inner elbow. Now, a little bit of body mechanics, just give a little bump with it. Okay, so what I want you to do, you load up from here. So when we hit it, boom, this is where it would go. Well, the minute the head is on its recoil out, that's when it catches to the elbow. Come back again to the head. Okay, so all I want you to do, he jabs, you take it to here, bam, then we just bam to here, headbutt, knee, or a takedown. To answer your question, how to get that energy, how to feel when to do what lock, is to go back to an energy drill. So one of our basic energy drills is Vunak. Okay, now you can name a lock. Any lock? Wrist lock. Okay, wrist lock's right here. Okay, somebody said downward elbow, it's a downward elbow lock. Okay, someone said upward elbow, it's an upward elbow lock. So whatever lock you want to do from each position, you can get into it. All your locks are done out of Vunak. It's just a matter of feeling the energy. I can do everything on the left side. Exact same locks again. Okay, so when you feel the energy out of the Vunak, then when he punches you, you can just feel whatever lock feels good and do it.
Hi, I'm Paul Vunak, and this video is about attributes. I'd like you to know right up front that this isn't going to be a technique video. If you're looking for techniques in Jeet Kune Do, I've got 6 tapes out. Go ahead and check those out. But this particular tape is about attributes, and attributes are about the way techniques are done. There are thousands of martial arts styles, and each style claims that they're the best. Everybody wants to know, as I travel around, what's better, Paul? Is Thai boxing better than Savate? Is trapping better than kicking? Is punches better than traps? That's not the mentality I'm looking for. It's that linear logic of the Western mind that keeps most martial artists complacent. What Bruce tried to do is he tried to break us out of that mold. He would say, we want to get to the roots of the problem. And the roots of the problem do not lie within technique. They do not lie within martial arts style. The roots of the problem lie within attributes. Attributes are qualities that make techniques work. A quality like speed, or power, or timing, or spatial relationship, or line familiarization. These are all of the qualities that if you put 2 people in a room, one person walks out, the other person gets carried out. The person that walked out had the superior mix of attributes. Now what I'd like you to do is check out this film clip I have. It's not about martial arts, but it's what I consider very good attributes. What you just saw here was the epitome of attributes. But I want you to pick up on a point. The techniques that they did, a tackle, a pass, a slam dunk, these are the same techniques that every other basketball or football player does. Go all the way back to high school. High school players dunk. High school players pass the ball, they dribble, they shoot, they set screens. College players, same thing. These are the techniques of the game. NBA, same thing. But why are there a few individuals that stand out, excel? Your Magic Johnsons, your Dominique Wilkins, your Michael Jordans. What makes these people different? They don't know any style of basketball that's better than any other style of basketball. It's not a hard style of basketball or a soft style or a circular style. It's just one thing. Their attributes happen to be a higher level. So this is the same thing with martial arts. Why people stand out in sports is the same reason for why they stand out in martial arts, because their attributes are a higher level. And this is what JKD is all about, the development of attributes. And attributes are the points that make every technique work, regardless if it's a tackle in football or a jump shot in basketball or whatever sport or art you're talking about. So this videotape is going to be about attributes. It's going to be about training. You're going to see techniques in it, but it's not there to teach you techniques. In fact, most of the things we'll be doing, you won't probably know what's going on. We'll be doing it pretty fast, and it's done at a higher level, because it's not here to show you the basic fundamentals. We're here to show you a mentality. If you can pick up this tape and check out the mentality, and if we can just raise your level of understanding of why somebody wins a street fight, and that is because of the superior mix of attributes. If we can just raise that level and give you a feeling through you watching the tape, this is my goal. I'll be a happy camper. So with this in mind, we're going to go to the gym, and the first attribute we're going to work is body mechanics. As I said before, the weapons bring out the body movement, particularly the blade. When you touch with a blade, in order to do damage, you have to slice with it. So it's not a hitting weapon as much as a slicing weapon. And in the process of this slicing, you're moving your body. It creates a necessity to twist, to turn. It brings out the body mechanics. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through what we call carenza, which is shadow boxing in the Philippines. They use any of the weapons that we have, single stick, double stick, knife. I'm going to use a long blade. I want you to keep in mind that every weapon we pick up brings out a little bit something different. The long blade brings out a lot of twisting, a lot of cross steps. I'm just going to go through a few motions. Just try to key in on what I'm doing, particularly the footwork. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the short blade. The short blade brings everything in tighter. If you took the same motions with the short blade as you did with the long one, you're going to lose the economy of motion. So what you have to do is keep everything in tighter. It brings out the cat-like movement. This is what we're working as body mechanics. Now, remember, we're working body mechanics. And the body mechanics with a knife transpose itself to empty hands. Let's just take one technique. Mark, you give me a jab. I cut the bicep, I come to here, and I lapsao, or I hilang. If I go empty hands with this, it's the same thing. You hit the nerve on the bicep. So as soon as he jabs, boom, we're just taking out that nerve. If I follow up with that, boom, I'm to here, and that's my trap. Now, if I change the grip with the knife, if we go to this grip, when Mark jabs, we're just destroying the fist on contact. If I follow up with a shot, I can go fist, bicep. Now, when we go to the empty hands, the elbow we use in lieu of the knife, boom, straight to here, right back to the bicep again. So every motion you have with the knife, you have with the empty hand. The point is, if you work the knife, and if you move with the knife, then when you go to the empty hand, your movement is a little bit better, a little bit crisper. Now we turn to the single stick, and I want you to notice my body mechanics. They're a little bit different. When you have a stick in your hand, you're not working the fluidity quite as much as if you had a blade in your hand. But you are a little bit crispier. You're a little bit tighter. The motions are a little bit quicker. You're going to notice the speed come out a little more with the stick, and the smoothness come out a little bit more with the long blade. I'm going to move around a little bit. I'll start off slow, and just try to keep your eye on the movement. Now on round 2, I'm going to slow it down and I'm going to go over some of the different strikes that you use with the stick. And I want you to notice that because of the variety of strikes you have with the stick, each strike brings out a different type of body mechanic. For example, this is an abanico. If you notice my twisting, whereas this would be a redondo, and this is a different type of twisting. So if you just notice the long motions, then the tight motions, and each motion brings out something a little bit different. I'm just going to move around, try to key in on the motions. Good. Now in this round I'm going to implement a little bit more footwork. I'm going to turn on the speed just a little bit. Keep an eye on the stick. Now our next attribute is going to be speed. Speed is something that everyone's interested in, but it's very elusive. There's so many different types of speed. You have perceptual speed, performance speed, initiation speed, alteration speed. Speed is a matter of the brain, and it's not a matter of the body so much. Speed is a way of thinking. So what we're going to do in the tape is we're going to just show you how we would train when we train speed. We're going to hit the focus gloves the way we normally would. But you're going to look at it and say, how am I going to get any faster watching this guy punch? And if you understand that speed is a question of the brain, then how you're going to get faster by watching somebody punch the focus gloves is going to be just the way they do it. The intensity, the way they wait, and then you build up, and then you finally explode. So if you understand that speed is a question of the brain, and it's a question of getting the signal from the brain to the muscle in a more efficient manner, then that's the first step in getting faster. Just the knowledge of knowing that it's up here and it's not here. So what you want to do is get used to shooting a lot of juice from the brain to the muscle. Just get used to just getting yourself pumped up until boom, you can just explode into something, and then you sort of relax. And when you get that feeling started, that's your first step in getting quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a few pointers on how to do that. Now here's one pointer. I want you to take any motion that you want to get quicker, and I want you to break it down into two parts. So for example, if you use a jab, we go from here all the way out and all the way back. That's the full motion. Now what we're going to do to get you quicker is just have you do half of that motion, from here to here, and then back. So you just work the first half of the motion. Then you work the second half of the motion on the retraction. I'm going to repeat all this in the gym for you again. The main concept that I want you to get is A, it's a question of the brain, it's a question of building an emotional climax there, and B, break all of your motions in half and just work half of the motion first. And if you understand that, you're on your way to getting a little bit faster. Okay, so let's go to the gym and I'll show you a few training techniques and we'll see what we can do with that. Now, the two concepts that we covered are one, breaking any motion that you want to improve the speed on in half and working each separate half of that motion. And the second concept was taking the juice from the brain and sort of turning up that mental, emotional volume to where that juice, that signal from the brain to the muscles happens quicker and more efficiently. We're going to take one at a time. We'll start with breaking a motion in half. It's the first step to increasing your speed. So we're going to take a jab, for example. The jab starts here, goes from 0, 50 to 100 and then back. What you do is you work from 0 to 50 first for whatever amount of time you want. So you move around and you just work the first half of the jab. This motion will get you faster because if you take it and split it in half and work one half of the motion, you're going to be twice as fast. This is the first half of the jab. Then we take the second half. So you take it from 50 and just pull it back. So you're working the second half and you're working the first half. You do this with any strike you want to increase your speed on. Now, what the other concept is, taking the juice from the brain and putting it into the muscles in a more efficient manner. To do this, you want to be set a little bit longer than normal. Okay, Mark, let me borrow you. We're going to start with a kick. Now, when I say set longer than normal, I'm talking about You want to get yourself in a posture that you normally aren't. To use the focus gloves properly, we should both be up, moving around, jabbing, crossing, kicking, getting a variety of different strikes. But to just isolate the one attribute, speed, you don't want to do that. You want to get a little bit lower and get yourself in a little bit more of a mental set posture. So the strike is here. Here's the glove. I'm getting myself set and prepared. As I think in my brain, I'm counting to 10. When I reach 10 in my brain, this is the climax, so to speak. So when I'm about to kick, I'll burst at 10. Good. Now, Mark, let me pull you over here. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to do the same thing with a jab. Just want you to notice that I'm waiting and I'm building emotion until I reach its pinnacle, and then I let it go. Normally you would never get set like this. You want to move around in a fight. This is just to work the initiation speed. Sometimes when you're here, just fake. Other times, put the whole motion in. Just remember one thing. The key to speed is increasing that signal from the brain to the muscle. All right, now the third attribute we're going to cover is strength. And like speed, there are different types of strength. The type of strength we're looking to get is what we call isometric strength. Like in Asano, when you touch him and lock up with his arms, chi saoing, sort of feels like an iron band. It feels like you could do a chin-up on his arms. This is a sort of strength. Bruce had this type of strength. It's developed through isometrics. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the gym, and I'm going to discuss all the different types of strength with you and how to get the particular type of strength that's most conducive for what we do. In talking about strength, I want you to know that there are several different types of strength. You have power lifters. Power lifters are good at lifting a lot of weight from a static position. Then you have bodybuilders. Bodybuilders lift about 3/4 of their max over and over again. This is for the aesthetics. We're not interested in that at all. And you have swimmers, you have wrestlers, you have gymnasts. All of these are different types of strength. Our definition of strength is to be able to move a body from point A to point B. What Bruce found out was the best way to do this was through isometrics. Isometric is a different type of strength. It develops what we call tendon strength. You're what I call a sleeper, which is a person that has an average build, but is definitely above average in strength. So in developing isometric strength or tendon strength, we do this through a series of specialized drills. Basically, when you're moving the arm, you're pumping the blood flow into the muscle. This is developing muscular size. Not that there's anything wrong with muscular size, but when you're stopped, this is the isometric. When you're at the isometric position, this is where the pressure is at the joint. And the joint is where tendon connects muscle to bone. This is where isometrics kick in. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you a series of specialized drills that are formulated just to develop tendon strength. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a principle rather than going through the hundreds of thousands of exercises that you can do to develop the different muscles in your body. And the principle is this. Let's take bench press for example. If you're bench pressing 200 pounds and if you do it 10 times, the first 8 didn't do a whole heck of a lot. They got your blood pumped to the muscle. They'll maybe get you a little bit bigger. The last couple, right when you're at this point here, when you're closer to that isometric stage, the last couple of reps you do are what are going to get you real strong. So the principle of isometrics is very simple. You pick up at that 9 and 10 point on the bench press. So basically you do not move. So if you wanted to develop the same muscles that you were in a bench press, you would go up against the wall and you would push. And you're pushing here as hard as you can for a series of about 10 seconds. 10 seconds is all you need with isometrics. So the bottom line is this. Any exercise you want to develop or any muscle you want to develop, you just basically put yourself in the position to where you cannot move. Let's say, for example, you want to develop your jab. If you want to develop your jab, that's basically your tricep and your shoulder. You're going to get on the wall and you're going to push right here. Now, isometrics has one drawback, and that is you only strengthen the exact position that you're in. For example, if I'm doing a curl, my entire arm is getting strong from point A to point B. Whereas in isometric, it would be strong here, but then I'd have to do it here again, and then here again. So with an isometric posture, you'd always break it down into 3 sections. So let's say, for example, if I'm going to do a punch, let's say the Wing Chun punch, the Jek Chun Choi. If I start with my fist here, once again I would get on the wall and push close. Then I would hold it for about a 10 count in the middle, and then about a 10 count almost all the way locked out. Then I've covered all 3 positions. Now if you have a squat rack, you can turn this into an isometric rack by pulling your bar out. You put this bar at any position you want. We found out in trapping range, which is a range we like to specialize in, shoulder and forearm strength is very important. One very good exercise for the forearm, I'm just going to give you a few exercises, mainly I want you to get the principle, is you put this right at your own forearm level. Put your arm under it, and you're pulling up. You want to hold it for a count of 10. Once again, you want to work different angles. Now what we like to do is we would like to work what we call specificity, which is working the exact angle for the exact martial art technique. So what I'm going to do for that, Mark, let me borrow you. If you're interested in Wing Chun, let's say you want to develop your lop sao, which is the pulling hand, what you do is you get into a lop sao position. Then you just lock it out from here, and we both pull. And we're pulling as hard as we can from this position for about 10 seconds. Then we switch to the left, and we do the same thing. This is the lop sao. What you're working here is this forearm muscle. Now if you want to work your shoulders, Mark would get in this position, and I'm going to lift up and out, and you're working your forearms, or your shoulders. Now from this position, I switch it around where my forearms are down, and I'm working his shoulders, and he's going up. Now from this position, say you wanted to work the twisting muscle in the forearm for, let's say, a wrist lock, to have this type of strength. To be able, once again, our concept is to move a body. This is the most important thing. So from this position, we grab the forearms, locking out the elbows, and we're twisting as hard as we can. So we do the same thing on the left. These type of exercises don't get you real big. But once again, you're what I call a sleeper. You're a lot stronger than what you look. So once again, let's review the concept. Isometrics, you hold for 10 seconds. You work all 3 positions. And the bottom line is any particular exercise you want to do or any particular technique you want to do, you use your imagination to fix yourself in the fixed position, and then you hold it for a 10 count. I'm going to give you one more example. Let's just say the foot sweep. If this is a foot sweep, if I come into this position right here and do my sweep, this is the muscle I want to use. So for training, we would just lock it out here and hold it. This is now working the inner loin, which is a muscle for a foot sweep. So if you can just take these few examples I've given you and use your imagination, take those principles that you have and develop your own isometric strength. Our 4th attribute is reflexes. Reflexes is a type of speed, but it's not. And why I say that is the signal does not go through the brain. This is why it's reflexes. For example, if you touch a hot stove, you're going to pull away before the signal ever went to the brain to tell your muscle to pull away. So the concept of behind reflexes is that there is no psychic hindrance. You're not thinking. You're just moving. And the best way to just move without thinking is the weapons. The weapons bring out a type of reflexes that is unbelievable because there's an incentive there. If you miss, you get hit. So most of the reflexes that we develop are through the weapons. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to the gym, and we're going to show you some different ways to develop reflexes, once again, through the Filipino martial arts, through their weapons. As I was saying before, reflexes are a feeling, almost like the feeling of driving down the freeway doing 90 miles an hour, and then you come into the city and you slow down to 55, and that feeling is that you're crawling. So what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to get that same feeling of moving fast. We're trying to get something that will turbocharge our movement. And that's what this stick does. It turbocharges your movement. It gets you to move faster, simply because the stick is moving faster than the empty hand could. So when we're training together, we have to respond to the stick. So what we're about to do now is a training drill. It's called Sombrada, and you're going to watch us respond to the speed of the stick. Good. Now, as I was saying before, the stick is moving faster than the hand can move. So therefore, if he's blocking the stick, he's got to move a little bit faster. So for example, when Mark gives me the number 1, what I'm doing is I'm coming in with a shot. He's got to block that. If he doesn't block it, it's going to sting. The minute he blocks that shot, that is creating a necessity for him to move a heck of a lot faster than he would normally. So that's the key. This stick is turbocharging the movement. Now, what I'm going to do this round is we're going to step it up a little bit. We've got the pads on, and this enables me to turn on my speed a little bit more. I can kick in the half beats. So I'm going to throw Darth Vader in here, and I'm going to put in my little half beat shots with the rear hand, which you keep an eye on when the inserts are coming in. Okay, Mark. Now, what that does is this keeps them honest. We stay flowing back and forth a little bit, and then every now and then I'm putting in that half beat. And that's what he's trying to do, is catch that half beat. And in the process of that catch, that's getting him a little bit faster, thanks to the use of this. Now, what I'm going to do this round is we're going to use the knife to illustrate the 2 points of reflexes and sensitivity. Normally, you use Chi Sao to develop sensitivity. For example, if we were rolling, this is Chi Sao. He's trying to stop a solid hit to the chest with either a Fuk Sao or a Bong Sao, where I'm trying to come in. So his point is to stop a solid hit. Now, when I put a knife in my hand, a solid hit isn't the only thing he's got to stop, because all this knife has to do is just graze. So his reflexes, his sensitivity, and his timing have to be just that much more acute. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this knife drill, and you watch the reflexes Mark has to use. Good. Now what he's doing there is he's stopping the knife from cutting him. I'm trying to thrust at the neck, I'm circling to the stomach, I'm trying to thrust back at the neck again. We'll go another round. I want you to go a little bit slower this round. I want you to see what we're actually doing here. Right at this point, I'm going for his throat. Now I'm trying to cut the stomach. He's preventing me from cutting the stomach with sensitivity until he gets here to the eye shot. Then I'm trying to come back in again. He doesn't know if I'm going to go here, or if I'm going to go down, or if I'm going to come back here or around here. So his reflexes have to compensate for the speed of this knife. Our next attribute is going to be about power. Now, power is the ability to use your strength quickly. And quickly means that the opponent is moving. If you're focusing on an inanimate object, that has nothing to do with power. Breaking bricks, boards, chopsticks to the throat, tongue push-ups, that has nothing to do with power. I have very little patience for that. Power is a boxer, a Thai boxer. You want to find power, glove up and get in with somebody. But breaking boards and breaking bricks, well, that's not it. That's got nothing to do with the actuality of functional power. So what I want you to keep in mind are the important points. And the important points of power, the people that get power, the boxers, the Thai boxers, are very simple, because it's the same as sports. Number 1, they have body torque. Number 2, they have intensity. Number 3, they have body mechanics. They don't need to yell, they don't need to scream, they don't need to ki-eye, they don't need a belt. They just, boom, have an athletic ability about them. They move, they hit. That's what power is all about. So let's take you to the gym. We'll explain it a little bit more and check out some of the ways that you can get a little bit better power. In talking about power, I want you to remember 4 things. You have accurate timing, correct placement, mental application, and body mechanics. Accurate timing is you're timing the opponent when he's coming in at you, like two cars hitting head on. Correct placement is that you're hitting solid, you're not grazing off the skin. And mental application is the juice you put from your brain into your punch. And then you have body mechanics. Body mechanics we get from the weaponry. Whether it be a stick in your hand or a knife or empty hand, regardless, you have to torque your body to make it work. After you put down the weapon, that same body torque or body mechanics goes into the empty hands. So what I'd like you to do is watch the movement and key in on the legs. That's the most important thing. I'm just going to play around. We don't always go as hard as we can go. You jab light, then you cross, and then you eventually put some more power into it. Keep an eye on the legs. You don't hit with just your arms. You hit with your legs. You hit with your whole body. Watch the footwork and watch the body hitting. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about power and kicking. Some of the most powerful kickers are Thai boxers, and the mentality they use is when they go for their kick, they go all out. In other words, there's no psychic hindrances. They don't go halfway and then determine what they're going to do then. They go for it. One of the other things they do is they go through their target. They don't see the front of the target, they see behind it, and they use full torque. We borrowed some of the mentalities from Thai boxing when we kick. I want you to look at the movement and the body torque and the twisting of the waist. Just going to do some Thai low kicks. Now, our last attribute deals with proper mental attitude. What we mean by proper mental attitude is the ability to be intense in a fight and also to be relaxed. And this intensity and relaxation has to fluctuate according to the range you're in. When you're in long range, you're moving, you're sticking, you're stop hitting, you're in your preliminary analysis of the fight. It's your first few seconds. You don't know this guy. It does you no good to be a screaming, raging banshee out in that range. That's the killer instinct in the wrong range. That's the person that's going to get himself stop hit. Now, when you come into closer range, when you're into trapping range, close enough to where you can headbutt him, he can headbutt you, you can elbow him, vice versa, that's the range that you need killer instinct. That's when it's got to click on. And when it clicks on, it's got to go all the way. Like a rag doll, you have no mentality. There is no you. There's only him. If you're worried about yourself getting hurt, you're in the wrong frame of mind. That's not the proper mental attitude. So you have to have control to a degree and then complete abandon. And this control and abandon is, as Carlos Castaneda would say, the warrior's way. And the warrior's way is the proper mental attitude. Now, when we talk about proper mental attitude, we're talking about it on the physical front. But as Dan Insano has stated before, that's only the tip of the iceberg. The street fighting is only the tip. That's what most people see. The mass of the iceberg is underneath the water. This is what you don't see. The things you get out of martial art that I regard as much more important than the street fighting. The mental, the emotional, then finally building your way up to the spiritual. But what's nice about starting at the physical door is it doesn't tend to be hypocritical. You start out building a nice foundation. You're impeccable in everything you do on the physical front. Every jab you throw, every move you make, every time you hit the heavy bag, you do it like it's the very last time you're ever going to do it. And when you develop those habit patterns, they tend to transfer over to the mental, to the emotional, and then finally to the spiritual. So what we're trying to do is achieve the spiritual, and our particular path is through the physical. There's many paths to do it. That's just the one we chose. Hi, I'm Paul Vunak. Welcome to Attributes 2. Let me reiterate exactly what an attribute is. It's a quality like speed or power or timing or coordination. On our first tape, we worked these basic qualities. We worked body mechanics, we worked power, we worked a little bit of speed. I'd like to pick up where we left off on Attributes 1 and hone in on some of these qualities. So our first attribute we're going to work is body mechanics in trapping range. We combine body mechanics and rhythm, and we're going to form one attribute. So let's pull to the gym and give it a try. For our next attribute, we're going to be working body mechanics. Now, body mechanics gives you the ability to take out a big man. You take a boxer, throws a jab, a cross, a hook, an uppercut, an overhand. Or he throws a jab and a cross and a hook. The better he gets in boxing, the more he's turning into his punches. The same thing with trapping. An elbow thrown like this is going to piss somebody off. An elbow thrown like this is going to take them out of commission. So you learn to use your entire body in everything you do. We're going to illustrate this through the headbutt. Frank, we usually put our headbutts, our elbows, and our knees in after we get the hands tied up in a fight. This is why we integrate Wing Chun right here, to get the hands tied up. Once we get the hands tied up, then we put in the tools that are going to take somebody out. Now, starting with a headbutt, the mechanics that we use to pull him in, we're going to be in this position, is not the bicep, but it's the lats. If you notice, the minute I make my entry right here, I'm pulling him to me. I'm using all of the muscles in my lats and my traps as opposed to just the bicep. When I'm pulling Frank into me, that pull is going to stop at the top of my head. Now, the mechanics for the headbutt sets you up perfect for the mechanics of the knee. So the minute I get this and this, boom to that, then we drive the knee in, then we have the elbow. So when you work these, I want you to work them slow. Feel your body. Feel where the mechanics are. Get as much muscle tissue into your movement as you can. Now what I'd like to do is work body mechanics in combination to show you how the headbutt, the elbow, and the knee work together, sort of a synergy. Okay, Frank. We're going to use Wing Chun to get in. It's a pocket lock. The first thing I'm doing is I'm going to drive that knee in. Now watch the mechanics I'm using. I'm putting the whole body behind the knee, just slightly backing up. When I raise my head back slightly, that's going to set up for the headbutt or the elbow. So what I want to get is I want to get a synergy with the body. I want to get the head, the elbow, or the knee all working together. This is what I'm trying to accomplish. Once again, an elbow is the same thing as a hook. You can throw it like this, or you can throw it like this. You can elbow like that, or you can put the whole body behind it. When I have the head right here, and I'm about to come down with an elbow, if I have a piece right here, boom, you've got to have the whole body behind it. And it's important where you hit. I don't want the elbow here. I want the tip of my elbow grazing the head, just brazing across the eyebrow. This is the effect I'm trying to get. Hopefully with body mechanics, this will take out a big man. Alright, in this next segment, we're going to illustrate the body mechanics on other weapons on our body other than just the elbow, the headbutt, and the knee. We may go into Tai Chi, we may go into the inner elbow shot or a shoulder bump, but it's the same common denominator. The whole body is flowing into the weapon. Okay, Bo, I'm going to take the inner elbow for the first example. We'll use Wing Chun to get us to this point. The minute we get here, I just pull with one arm. Now I'm using the inner elbow and I'm sending it out this way. The minute I send it out, boom, I come back again. Send it out to the head. So we're using the mechanics, I'll do it on this side, to hit. Now we don't want to hit too far because then we'd have to chase him. So we catch it with this hand to come back to this. Boom, bam, and then bam. If I want to go to Wing Chun, let's say I get right to here. Now it's just boom, it's a little push. Say a car's going by, a brick wall, whatever. You want him out of your way. If it's a mass attack, you hit one guy, boom, send him out of your way. So for whatever reason you want, you need to move a body. The key is to have leverage, to have a good base, and torque the body. Body mechanics. Our next attribute is killer instinct. Now when I say killer instinct, let me qualify that. There's only one range in a street fight that you really need killer instinct, and that's trapping range. When you're out in long range, you want to keep a cool head, moving, sticking, stop hitting. Once you close that gap, that's when we need killer instinct. Certain tools are more conducive to bringing this killer instinct out. The straight blast, the elbows, the headbutts, the knees. Picture doing a double spinning reverse crescent kick and having killer instinct. So what Bruce found out were certain tools that he used brought this emotion out in him. So we're going to pull to the gym and we're going to start with these exact tools. I'm going to attempt to teach you killer instinct through a video. Now it's going to be difficult. It's hard enough to learn killer instinct one-on-one. What I'd like you to do is just pay attention to the phases of a street fight. And if you can understand this, I think it'll help us along. Now Bruce would break a street fight down into 3 areas. One thing was called preliminary analysis. All a preliminary analysis is you're sizing up your opponent. There's no internal dialogue. You're not thinking. You're not sitting there, oh, Taekwondo man, big stance. That's not going on. All you're doing is getting a feel for him. He's a wrestler, he's a boxer, he's a karate man. You're getting a feel. That might take 2 to 4 seconds. Now from there we start moving around. This is what we call the pot shot segment of the fight. When you're moving around, you stick a guy in the face. Now you fake a shot in the face, you get the hands to fly out, boom, you kick him in the groin. Moving around again, then say you fake the groin, here's a boxer of 20 years doing this, and then you enter. So we have a preliminary analysis, then we have pot shotting. Now we've entered with pain. We've hit this person, we've inflicted pain, and we're borrowing that moment in time where he's in pain to enter safely. Now is when we turn on the killer instinct. This is when the straight blast, the elbows, the headbutts, and the knees come into play. Okay, Frank, let me borrow you. We're just going to take one possible scenario. We're moving around. I've sized Frank up immediately. He's a boxer. Okay, the guy's got some sort of structure. I'm moving around, boom, let's say I take the thigh. Now, I don't feel like entering yet. I've done a little bit of damage, but not quite enough. Now, I might fake the thigh, boom, and go up to the high line. Okay, I still don't feel like entering. He's bleeding a little bit, so I fake the high, boom, I go down low. Now is when I bring the killer instinct. At that point, when I enter, I can go into any art I want. I can go into Tai Chi, I can go into Dumog. The point is, we've entered safely, we've inflicted pain, we've borrowed that moment in time when we did inflict pain to blast. So there's always continuous pressure on this guy. This is killer instinct. Our next attribute is sensitivity, the ability to feel the opponent's intentions. All sensitivity is the ability to read pressure. You're reading the force of your opponent. If he pushes, you pull. If you pull, he pushes. Bruce and Dan together came up with drills to develop this attribute. This is what we're going to do now. I'm going to pull you to the gym, and we're going to work over these drills. Our next attribute is going to be sensitivity. Sensitivity is the ability to feel the opponent's pressure. Remember, sensitivity doesn't come into play in a fight until you get into trapping range. If you got a strong opponent who's forcing one way, and you just go around that, and then you can insert your tool. So you're using sensitivity just for a second to get around that, and now you can put in what you want. Okay. Now, the first drill we're going to do is from Kali. It's Hubud. What we're doing is we're starting here. This is our reference point. I'm raising, slapping, and I'm hitting. What we're doing in Hubud, what we're actually accomplishing is we're accomplishing a spectrum of reference points that you can be in when you crash in a street fight. And we're learning to feel when we would insert different tools from this spectrum of reference points. And this is the ability to gain sensitivity just by doing this over and over again. Now from here we're going to switch to another drill, which is the Lap Sao drill from Wing Chun. We're raising, we're pulling, and we're hitting. As opposed to raising, slapping, and hitting. I'm raising and I'm pulling and I'm hitting. This is the shell. When you've spent hours and hours of doing this over and over again, throw a jab, Terry, then the minute I enter into here, you can do it. Because this is your neighborhood. You've been there. You've lived there. So we're going to do this one more time. Raise, slap, and hit. Then we go to raise, pull, and hit. And we can switch on this side. Then we go to the third drill, which is called Chi Sao. Once again, you have to actually be here to be experiencing this. But we'll at least give you a feeling, an idea. So we go from Chi Sao to Hu Bud to Lap Sao. And pretty soon we're just flowing. So what I'd like you to do is basically check out what we just did, go through it slowly and get the shell. From there, then gain somebody to get your sensitivity. What we're going to do in this next segment is we're going to take the techniques that we've already learned and integrate them into Hu Bud. This is how we're going to become functional at trapping. The reason people know techniques but can't pull them off in a street fight is they've not gone through the rigors of learning it. You need 5 things. You learn, you practice, you master, you functionalize, and then you maintain. If you don't go through these steps, you're never going to be able to pull your techniques off. So what we have is we have Hu Bud as a shell. And that shell gives you the energy, and then you integrate any technique you want in the confines of that shell. Terry? Now, this is the Hu Bud we're doing. And if you remember, we were taking all of our techniques out of a jab. So Terry pulls out that jab. That's when I get to here, and I go back to Hu Bud. Doesn't matter what technique I'm doing. If I want to do an arm wrench, pull out the jab. I'll come to here, bam, put in the arm wrench, then go back to Hu Bud again. The point being, anything that I do, any art or any technique, if it's integrated in the confines of an energy drill, you'll have energy. This is how you'll be able to pull off your techniques. Our next attribute is interception, the ability to intercept a blow before it hits you. This is actually what Jeet Kune Do stands for, the way of intercepting the hand and foot. When you're in long range, you're using the attributes of awareness and timing to intercept. In close quarter range, it's sensitivity. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pull you to the gym and I'm going to show you how to intercept when somebody is actually attacking us, some drills that we use to develop that attribute. Now in this next segment, we're going to talk about intercepting. Intercepting is an easy concept, but it's difficult to do. What you have to do is you have to hit your opponent before he hits you. Now we're talking about a high level of timing, a high level of awareness. The tools that we use to intercept with have to be economical. You're not going to try to intercept a jab with a spin kick, but you could intercept a spin kick with a jab. So the tools that we like to intercept with are our front hand jab, our front hand kick, the G-Tech, which is a little side kick, it's not actually trying to hurt, and the rear leg shot to the thigh. These are our favorite tools to intercept with. I'm not saying these are the only tools. Now when you train it, you have to train it in a progression. You can't get in and go full contact, start kickboxing, and expect to intercept. What you're going to end up doing is you're going to both be in the center of the ring, and you're going to be trading blows, just the way 2 kickboxers do it. We don't want to do that. We don't want to trade blows. We're fighting a Rosie Guerrero on PCP. We don't want to trade blows with this guy. We want to intercept before he comes in. So we're just outside of his range. Second this guy steps in, bam, you hit him. So you zap him. Every time he breaches that range, he encroaches on you, you hit him. So I'm going to give you one very simple drill to do. We're going to intercept a boxer with the thigh shot. This is a line most boxers are unfamiliar with. And I'm just going to show you one example of how to intercept. Okay, Tom, come on in. Now, Tom, you're just going to throw the jab. I'm just patting the jab the way the boxer would. But if you notice I'm out in this range, freeze. Right in the range where I extend your jab, he can't reach me. So he has to come in to get me. Boom, that's when I intercept. So we're going to just move around a little bit, and I'm going to show you how we would normally do it. Now what we just saw an example of is intercepting the boxer's jab with the thigh kick. What we're doing is we're breaching that distance. The boxer's trying to encroach on us, but we're not allowing him to do that. As he comes in, boom, we zap him just before he gets into boxing range. So Tom would come in with a jab, boom, that's right when I'd hit him on the thigh. Now what we're going to do is we're going to encroach again on that range, except I'm going to use the kick. It's called a jeet tech. This is one of Bruce's favorite moves. It resembles a side kick, but it's not for power. So you're not chambering the kick. You're just raising the leg up. So Tom comes in now with a kick, and I intercept the kick with a G-tech. So Tom, give me a good kick. Boom. We're moving around a little bit. He comes in, bam, I intercept it. Now the minute I intercept that kick, I borrow that moment in time to come in. And when I come in, I'm basically doing the 50-yard dash down this guy's center line. You have your crane stance. Bruce used to say, put him in the wounded crane. So what we're doing is we're going to encroach, we're going to blast, and then we're in trapping range. Now just as the boxer breaks up his rhythm in boxing, the trapper breaks up his rhythm in trapping. So what I'd like to do is take it to the gym and let's isolate broken rhythm in trapping. For our first attribute, we're going to work rhythm in trapping. Now just like in boxing, the trapper needs rhythm. You don't see a boxer throwing a jab or a cross or a hook in the same rhythm. He'll break it up. So this is what we do in trapping. Okay, Frank, let me borrow you. Now Frank's going to throw a jab. I'm going to use a gunting as a common denominator. This is my entry. So when he jabs, this is our pat. We'll take it out at that nerve center. The minute we hit that, boom, we can consider this one beat. Now when I'm talking about rhythm, we're just learning to play with beats. There's no right or wrong. So the first way we look at it is that's one beat. The second way is that's one beat. I may say 1001, or we may go to 1001. So how you look at it, the way you look at your trapping through the different rhythms, broadens the spectrum of how many times you can hit this guy. It opens up new lines for you. So what I'd like you to do is take any technique you have already and break it up in different rhythms. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to illustrate a few other points that we can get to gain rhythm. One way is zoning. Okay, Frank. Frank's going to throw a jab. As soon as he jabs, boom, I'm out here patting it. The first thing I'm doing is I'm coming into the groin. That's my first entry. Remember, we're not working techniques. I'm just using this technique to illustrate the point. Okay? He's jabbing here. The minute I go down, I'm going to come back to the high line. Now, when this hand is going down and up, there's always a line open here. So when this is here, that's open. When this is here, that's open. Every time I'm moving, boom, that's the rhythm. If I'm in front of him, it's his two guns against my two guns. The minute I zone to here, boom, that's rhythm. We don't know where we're going to go, but as long as we have the rhythm, we're going to find an opening. In this particular series of techniques, we're going to take advantage of rhythm through timing. We're going to find that gate when it's opening and closing, and we're going to seize that opportunity to go in when the gate closes. Okay, Frank. Once again, I'm going to use the destruction. Frank jabs. We have 1, 2, 3. Now on my third strike, if I am in center line, he's in center line. That's good form. You don't want your opponent to have good form. Okay? As he jabs, if I'm on the angle, if I zone a little bit, for me to get Frank's eye, I have to get the zoning. For him to block it, he's got to cross center line. The minute he vacates center line, this line's open, then I can come in and do what I want because I've got the hands trapped. So I'm forcing Frank to zone. I'm forcing Frank to cross his own center line. The movement I'm using is much like a running back or a basketball player, making a quick out, down and out. So he jabs, boom, that's my first out. But I'm faking that way to come back on this line, boom, to come in for my final shot. So we're using rhythm to get the guy to this point, then we're following up. On this particular series of techniques, we're going to use the arm wrench to illustrate how to get that half beat in there. Instead of punching to the face each time, say that would represent a full beat, we're going to go from the face to the arm and back to the face. Adding that little arm wrench can give us that half beat. Okay, Frank. Frank throws a jab. I'm still doing the same thing, the same destruction. When I get to this point, there's an obstruction here. We use a little bit of Wing Chun. Now this can be considered a beat. That can be considered a beat. But between that and that is a half beat. Drop back down to say a full beat and then back up to a full beat again. Okay, so we're breaking up the rhythm because of those target areas. So one more time, boom to here, or boom, that can be a half, that can be a half, that can be a full beat. So what I'd like you to do is play with these different techniques using the arm wrench. Play around with the half beat off the arm wrench. Now in this particular series, what Frank is going to do is cross center line instead of holding center line. It's just another variable that we can use to gain rhythm. So Frank, he's going to throw the jab. I do our same destruction, the bicep, the eye jab, and the back fist. Now instead of him holding center line here, he's going to push. He's going to cross center line. This is going to create another rhythm, just another variable for you to work with. So as soon as he jabs, I get this feeling, boom, that's when I put this in. The minute I go to the bicep, boom, I've got the arm wrench back to the groin and back up to the head. I want you to go through it slow, break up the rhythm. Sometimes Frank will hold center line and that'll take us here. Other times, just to break up the rhythm, he's going to cross center line. That'll just take me here. Just one other way to play with rhythm. Well, I hope you enjoyed Attributes too. Attributes are what made Bruce Lee what he was. The man is about attributes: speed, power, timing, coordination. This was world class. His attributes were world class. If we can learn from this tape just how to develop that, if we can understand that combat is not about technique. Combat is about attributes. And if we can understand the training of these attributes, and if we got that from this tape, just one way of training, then it was worth it to you. So in a final word, I'd just like to say thank you, and this tape is a tribute to Bruce Lee. Thanks. Hi, I'm Pual Vunak. Welcome to Attributes 3. Attributes are qualities, okay? Qualities are the things that make up a street fighter. Your heart, your power, your strength, your killer instinct, your timing. Without these qualities, techniques mean nothing. This is why Bruce used the word petty technique. Petty meaning techniques are not what win fights. If they were, all you'd have to do is watch an NBA game, watch the techniques that they use, and say, okay, well, now I can play. But that's not how it works. You have to be able to train it. And what it is you're training are not the techniques so much, but the attributes. And these attributes are going to make the techniques work. So with that in mind, the purpose of this tape, Attributes 3, is to teach you how to truly do JKD. Because we have people all over the country kickboxing, saying they're doing JKD. Kickboxing is not JKD. JKD is way of intercepting. It's not way of kickboxing. So if we want to intercept, and why would we want to intercept in the first place? So we can get into trapping range and take somebody out of commission. And it's very, very difficult to get into trapping range if you don't intercept. So if we want to intercept, we have to have a training method. You can't just come along and tell somebody, hey, go intercept, Joe. It won't happen. You'll have two people standing in the center of the ring, duking it out. And guess the news. When that happens, usually the bigger guy wins. That's why they have weight divisions. On the other hand, if you intercept, somebody comes at you and boom, you throw an eye jab at them, and you borrow that moment to come in and straight blast, and then go in with headbutts, knees, and elbows, well, now we're cooking. So we have to intercept in order to get into our game. And that's what this tape is about. Now, you have people out there that are very fast, and they can throw a very fast jab, and they have a good structure. If you have to fight that person, they're a little bit more difficult to intercept. So this is where Dan came into play and said, we're going to learn how to destroy the limbs. So if that fast jab comes, you're certainly not going to intercept it with a spin kick, okay? You will destroy it. Or if that kick comes, or if this kick comes, or any angle that comes, you destroy. So we're talking about intercepting and destroying. These are the two main points. We have others that we're going to list. So this tape is a tape of training methods to teach you how to go from kickboxing to truly intercepting. Now hang with me. Now where we left off was teaching you how to intercept and how to destroy. You need a training method for that. In order to intercept or destroy somebody, first of all, you have to do it out of the correct range. I don't know many people that fight from that range. Everybody fights too close. If they're boxers, they get too close. If they're kickboxers, they get too close. Why? Because it's a sport. And to have a sport, you need two people in the center of the ring duking it out. One guy hits, one guy covers, one guy hits, one guy covers, like two rock'em sock'em robots. And who wins on those types of fights? The bigger, stronger guy. Again, that's why we have weight divisions. For us to intercept, we have to be a little bit further than where they fight from. We need a little bit of time to see the blow coming, so we don't just boom, just parry it. Because sometimes if you're too close, the quickest thing you can do against that jab is parry it, bam, and fire your jab back. Okay? Now what are we doing? We're duking it out. So we need to be in a different range. Now granted, I want to fight you in trapping range if we're going to fight. I wish all my fights, Patrick, started right here. Okay? That would just make my day, but they don't. Okay? We have to break our way in. And to break your way in takes a progression. The first
concept of the progression is that you understand distancing. If you, again Patrick, are this close, and he jabs me, I jab him, and he crosses me, I cross him, and we're just sitting here basically duking it out, you have no possibility of ever intercepting anything. You need to be further away. Now, the next thing you're going to say is, well, if I'm that far away, how can I ever hit him? Well, that's why Bruce spent so much time developing those two shuffles. They're very, very basic, but they're not used very often. It's a step and slide or a slide step. Either, boom, you shuffle this way, like a fencer, or you replace your foot by shuffling this way. It's more of a pendulum type shuffle. So we're out in a range where we can shuffle and hit his eyes or kick his balls. But he, on the other hand, has to encroach on us to get to us. He hasn't spent an hour and a half or 2 hours a day doing that shuffle until he has developed it down to a pat. We have. So when this person encroaches, well, guess the news, they get intercepted. So this is how we intercept. So before we can move on to our next segment, we need to do the two basic shuffles. I hate to digress, but this is important. So the first shuffle that I want you to do is just stand right here and just push forward. Boom. That's all I want you to do. Over and over again. Just boom. And from this position here, you pretend like there's a little box right here. And you're replacing one foot with the other. Boom. That's all I want you to do. Give me a right lead. Normally, we couldn't possibly hit each other out here. And if he came in with a side kick, okay, I'd intercept him anyway. Or if he comes in with a jab, boom, he's going to get intercepted before that jab ever comes. Or he comes in again, it's going to be bam, right to the groin. So that's the whole point. I'm at a position where anything he comes to me is going to get blown away. But me, on the other hand, boom, I can come to him because I've developed my shuffle. And the whole point of this is, again, to get into trapping range. So what I want you to do is work the step and slide and the slide step. Now that we understand that in order to intercept or destroy, we have to be out in a further range, that's the timing, that's the distancing, now we can start the VU scale. All this is, and again, I don't want you to think we're digressing down to a point system, okay? But this is a way to reprioritize your brains. We want to change your perception. Right now, it is so important to you to hit each other that you're never ever intercepting. And if you never intercept, you can't enter. And if you can't enter, you can't headbutt knee or elbow. Conversely, if you intercept somebody and they're here in pain, and then you blast, then you can go through your whole routine. So as long as you're just duking it out, you'll never ever be able to fight outside of your weight class. That's why this is so important. Remember, Bruce Lee was 128 pounds. Okay? Dan Inosanto, he's not a big man. Okay? But these people can go through a big man like a hot knife through butter because they have a formula. And what we want to do is give you a way to train this instead of just saying, hey, go out and intercept. We're going to give you a formula. And I'm going to put that formula on a point system. Okay? It's called the VU scale. Well, I don't know what to call it. Okay? Okay, now, when you spar, or when your students spar, if I'm speaking to instructors, generally speaking, sparring night is that night where you can kind of cut the air and with a butter knife, and everyone's heart's kind of like this, and there's that tension. Well, this kind of takes all that out of the air. Takes all the tension, and it turns all that sparring and that heavy-duty shit into a chess match. And then later, when you want to get barbaric, that happens, but that's the second phase. Okay, so for sparring, now it turns more into a chess match. The very first thing on the VU scale that is most important to us is that we can intercept each other. That's why I say I want to change your priority. It's too important for you right now to hit this guy in the face or him to hit you in the face. That's the biggest thing in your world, okay? You do that to a 6'8" large person pissed off, and they don't even know they're in a fight. You have to get into trapping range. You have to drive your knee in their groin, or you're not going to win. If you don't thumb their eyes and headbutt them, you can forget it. So duking it out only works against guys your size. So instead of that, the most important thing we want you to do is intercept. Okay? Interception. Number one. That's it. That's more important than hitting. So when you're out in the range that we spoke of, and if you pull off an interception, you get 5 points for it. Okay? So what I would like you to do as the instructors of the world is to have a board up and to have your students spar and actually give them points. And it becomes a game. It becomes fun. Oh, good, 5 points, all right. Oh, you got 3. Okay? So it becomes a fun game. But while that fun game is happening, what we're doing with our psychology is we're trying to prioritize your brain into, bam, I'd rather intercept than just come in and slug this guy in the face. So we're going to play this point system for a while, and after about 6 months of it, you can throw it away and never look at it again. But we will have done our duty, reprioritized onto what is really important to you. Doing JKD, way of intercepting, not way of duking it out. Intercept, 5 points. Okay? Now from there, it's hard to say which is better. There's really not a better. Okay? But I'm going to give a destruction 4 points. Meaning anything that this man does to you, a jab, boom, you blow it away. A thigh kick, boom, you blow it away. High kick, boom. We give that 4 points. If you destroy a limb that comes to you, and you borrow that moment when your opponent is in pain, it makes it much easier to enter and get into trapping range. And remember, this whole VU scale has only one goal. It's like a football play. It has one goal, get past the goal line. Okay? This whole VU scale is only about one thing, getting into trapping range. That's what it's all about. So we can fight outside of our weight class. Okay? So any destruction that comes in is 4 points. Later we're going to give you examples of destructions, but again, this is attributes 3, and we do not want you, we expect you to already know how to punch, how to kick, and how to do destructions. That's why we call it attributes 3. This is not a basic tape. Okay, this stuff should be taken for granted. You should already know the techniques, and now we're just giving you a better training method. Now, number 3, getting into trapping range is so important, but sometimes you just don't do it offensively. You don't get a good interception in, or you don't get a good destruction in. Okay, Pat, let me borrow you. Okay, but just by virtue of the fact that you're getting into trapping range, I'm going to give you 3 points. So let's say we're moving around a little bit, you jab a few times, bam, bam, and you whip it, okay, boom, and I get right into here, okay? Thanks. I didn't hurt him. I didn't intercept him. I didn't destroy him. So it's not quite as good, but I still give you 3 points because you got past the goal line. So here we are with an entry. Okay? Entry gives you 3 points. Now you got to picture this. Your students are sparring, and you're sitting here and you're going, Bob, Sam, and you're writing down points. Okay? It sounds silly. It sounds like, oh, Vunak is coming up with the points that what's next, the belt system? Okay? But that's not what we're trying to accomplish. Again, all I'm trying to accomplish is to reprioritize in your mind that it's more important to intercept. And when you make a game out of it, you tend to pull it off, or at least it's been working so far. Now we come to something a little bit more ambiguous, and it's called the fake. There is a concept that allows you to get into trapping range very, very quickly and very good. It's called progressive indirect attack. It's a type of fighting, it's a method of striking, I should say, in which you're progressive and you take up time, but you're indirect in that you take up distance. So if you fake high, you always go low. Or if you fake low, you go back to high. People don't have a tendency to know both lines at the same time. So when they go here, boom, they get hit here. Or if they're fake here, boom, they get hit here. So by virtue of the fact that you faked this guy out, and you faked low and went up and hit him high, I'm not going to just give you a point for the hit. I'm going to give you 2 points because you faked first. If you look into boxing, the best boxers in the world fake well. Between two even fighters, the man that will win will be the man that has the better fake. A progressive indirect attack is one of the highest levels of fighting. You can't just come in with somebody really good and duke it out. You can't just slugfest with attack by combination. You need to fake one way and go another way. For this fake, we give you 2 points. Now, our final point system here on the VU scale, it is last and least a strike. 1 point. That's it. I don't really care. Hitting somebody in the face is about the least important thing in winning a fight. I'm talking about this kind of guy now. Okay? It's just not that big a deal. It is a means to an end, but you need a progression. So if you're moving around and all of a sudden you go boom and you hit this guy with a jab, I'm going to go point. You're moving around again. You might hit him with something else, I don't know, thigh kick, whatever. We'll go point. Then you come around again, come in with jab, boom, and you get intercepted. 5 points. So what happens is, you and your school start learning, gosh, intercepting's important, and it's fun, and it makes you able to fight people way bigger than you. It doesn't matter how big they are, when you kick them in the balls before they come into you, again, they tend to go down. I don't see that big person, I just see that set of balls coming in. And when it does, bam, it gets nailed. So when we intercept, we're either at the kneecap, the thigh, or the groin. If he comes with a wild punch here, we'll shuffle in with an eye jab. So intercepting, 5 points. Destroying, 4. Enter, 3. Fake 2 and strike 1. This is our hierarchy. This is our psychology. It's a game. It's a game just to get you to reprioritize what is important. So you stop duking it out. You stop staying in the middle of the ring and slugging it out with each other. And you turn it more into a chess game where you're out here looking at what's coming in. And then, from there, well, that's when the shit hits the fan. Okay, we'll talk about that later. So what I'd like you to do is hang with me. Let's go through this point system. I'm going to take it to you one person at a time, one move at a time. We do things with a progression. Hang in there. Again, we should already know our punches and our strikes, but I'm going to show you a few examples of each one, just so you can train with it. Attributes 3, you should already be through all of this. Okay, we're going to start off with intercepting. Okay, Tom, Patrick, come on up. Okay, sideways. All I want is, Tom, I want you to jab. Patrick, all I want you to do is pat the jab. He's not going to intercept every time because it's not really obvious. So just kind of back up and pat that jab. Okay, maybe the third or fourth one, bam! He's going to come in with a shuffle kick right to the groin. Okay, let's try it. Now that would be 5 points. Keep going. Okay, now, this time when Tom comes in, Patrick, what I want you to do is a thigh kick. Okay, same thing. Break. Now, notice, he is not just arbitrarily thigh kicking Tom. He's waiting for Tom to breach that distance. And when Tom breaches that distance with that weapon, then he is thigh kicking him. That's the difference between an interception and a single direct attack. And that's how you learn to enter. Okay? Let's try one more. Let's just say the guy at the bar that's drunk, the John Wayne Haymaker. Okay? So Tom, you get to be the drunkard. Okay? Just give me a nice swing. When you see that swing coming, you don't wait for it to come, do some kind of block and hit. Just shuffle in, bam, right to the eyes. Okay, ready? Move around. That's it. That's all I want. Boom. Swing one by, slip your head. That's it. Move around a little bit, just like that. That's it. Break. Okay? So, all I'm looking for is for Patrick to see anything that comes in, to keep the correct distance, and to intercept it. Now notice how many tools we used. We used 3 tools. We used the swing, we used the jab, we used the shuffle kick, 4 tools, and the thigh kick. And the reason why we do this is because you cannot learn a training process without a progression. I don't care if it's football, baseball, basketball, I don't care what it is. Why would martial art be any different? You can't just say, here's the technique now. Gosh, I wonder why you can't pull it off. You have to have a training progression to do that. So when we talk about intercepting, you need a training progression to intercept. I love all these JKD guys that write these stories about, oh, well, you don't need to intercept and still be JKD. You just got to be an individual. Yeah, what if you're 400 pounds and sucking on a camel? Are you a JKD man? It doesn't work that way. There are certain things that you have to stick to. You have to occupy center line. You have to intercept. These are things you have to straight blast. Then if you want to be an individual, knock yourself out, flip them, throw them, do what you want with them. Okay? Otherwise, you're not doing JKD. Don't believe that crap. Okay? In order to do JKD, you have to intercept. That's why it's called JKD, way of intercepting. And the most structural, functional thing you can do, come in with a side kick, okay? Right after he, go ahead, boom, comes in, is to blast down his center line. And then, if you'd like to get into penjat, if you'd like to get into judo, if you want to headbutt, knee, and elbow him, you want to lock him up, I don't care what you do. But if you want to be a JKD man, you have to intercept, you have to destroy, and you have to straight blast. There's no other way to look at it. Now let's take our progression and move on. You try it. Now, moving along, let's give you a few examples of how to do destructions. Again, this is not a table of techniques, so I'm not going to spend much time on it. You should already know it. Okay? Each one of these would get you 4 points on the VU scale. Okay, guys, come on out. Okay, they're going to move around a little bit. Again, they're just trying their techniques out. They're moving slowly. Okay, you've got to do this in progression. You just can't start banging. You can't go back to your dojo and just say, okay, let's duke it out. Okay, that won't happen. You need to start from a progression. Show me one jab at a time. Now bring in the kick. Now bring in this. Now bring in that. And now speed it up a little bit until eventually you're doing destructions, interceptions. It's not going to happen overnight. Didn't happen for anybody. Okay, for destructions, give me a right-to-right lead. Okay, one of the tools that we fear the most, that's why I showed it to you 5 seconds ago, was just boom, just a nice shuffle kick to the groin. Okay, because I mean, anytime this man tries to get close to me, bam, that thing's going to get hit. Okay, so in order to defend that, all Patrick is going to do is raise his leg. Boom. Notice when he raises his leg, he's not just raising it straight up, so we bang shin to shin, but he's aiming his knee to hit my shin. That way we don't spend 5 hours a day kicking banana trees. Okay, right to right lead, and move around a little bit, and throw the kicks a few times, Mike. Boom. It's an example. These are only examples now. We're not sparring yet. Boom. This is not how we spar. We're doing this syncopated. Okay, now, second one that we worry about quite a bit is the nice boom, that thigh kick. Okay, someone's got a good thigh kick is a dangerous man. Okay, let's do the same destruction. Move around. Go. Okay, that's it. Really turn that baby out. Turn that knee out. Boom, that's it. Good. Okay, The next move that comes up is the high kick. Every time the high kick comes, boom, we just blow it away with the elbow. Okay, Mike, either right or left high kick. Adam, don't tell him which. Now you come to him with a shuffle kick to the groin. Boom. Now go back to him. Boom. Now go back to jab. That's it. Boom. Okay, break. So we're starting to gradually turn it into a sparring match. Okay? This is going to depend on your students, their level, where they're at, where their techniques, where their basics are at, where their attributes are at. But slowly you have to do this. Otherwise what's going to happen is you're going to be right back in the middle of the ring duking it out. Okay? So we take one thing at a time. These are 3 examples of destructions. Let's work them. Now we have done interceptions, destructions, and now we're going to do the third one, entries. An entry just simply means that you are doing the straight blast down this guy's face. It's always better if you intercepted him first. If you got to poke the eye, or kick the groin, or kick the thigh, or side kick on the kneecap, and then do it. That's why we give you 5 for it. But even just by virtue of you blasting down somebody's face and having them go backwards, okay, that takes timing because you don't want to start it too far out or you'll be the one getting intercepted. So just by virtue of that, we give you 3 points. Okay? Now again, we're just going to drill this. Okay, come on out. Move around. Right to right lead. Mike, you do the jabbing. Okay? And Patrick, just straight blast. This is an example of what it would look like doing the Vu scale if they were sparring. Break. Go back to it again. You can even run faster backward, Michael. Break. Okay? Now, notice that there wasn't a destruction put in. There wasn't pain put in. It was just a passive entry. But sometimes it's just there, so you got to do it. Okay? So for that, we give you 3 points. Now we're going to move on to the next thing, the fake. Remember, a fake turns a single direct attack into a progressive indirect attack. If you fake high and go low, or if you fake low and go high. And the difference between a single direct attack and a progressive indirect attack is kind of like between a slingshot and an M16. Okay? Because you can't fight people with single direct attacks if they're good. Attack by combinations will not work if they're good or if they're bigger than you. But you can always fake one way and kick something else. And then once you kick it, then you can enter. So it's just so important to have a good fake. Any boxer will tell you that. A fake is everything. Okay? So to bring this fake out, all we're going to do is we're going to move around. And Pat's going to fake high, bam, and shuffle kick low. And they move around. Then Mike will do the same thing. Fake high and go low. And then fake low and go high. And we work our fake. So the techniques are being worked over and over again. But we haven't even begun the system of fighting yet, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 point system. Okay? First, we're just showing you examples of movements. And then from there, we're going to score people and show you exactly what you've done. Okay, come on out. Okay, Mike, you fake high and go low first, right to right lead. Move around, sometimes just a jab, then the fake jab and go low. That's it. Okay, you're up, Patrick. You can go ahead and make contact on the thigh if you want. That's it. We're faking high and we're going low. That's a real jab, that's a fake jab and low. Okay, time. Now, you got to understand, a fake is not a jab that misses. Okay? If you jab, boom, like this, a fake is just this. Back to here. Okay? It's not a jab that misses. You'll have 2 single direct attacks. You want him thinking that the high line is coming, and then he gets hit low, or vice versa. You fake the jab, boom, and you thigh kick him. Or you fake the jab and kick him in the groin. Or then you fake the groin, bam, and go into the eyes and shuffle. Okay? So you always have the high-low high effect. Okay, one more round, please. Move around. If either one of these guys did this, it would be 2 points on my system. That's it. That's 1 point, because it's 1 kick. That's a fake and a hit. That's 2 points. Okay? Break. Now, we get to what everybody does. Spar. They hit each other. They trade like two rock'em sock'em robots. They flip a coin and go, I hope the guy I fight isn't bigger than me. Okay? That's not how it works. Okay? We don't care how big he is. We don't care what he's saying to us. We don't care how mean he is. To me, it's like a little kid running, Daddy, Daddy. Okay? It's the same mentality. It's a joke. Your heart's not doing this. Okay? You're just back here relaxing, going, please, hit me. Boom. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you run into something? And then boom, the blast comes, headbutt, knee, and elbow. So when you start to do this system properly, and you throw out all the point system of my 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because you've been doing it for about a year, then you don't need it anymore. You throw it out. When you're out in long range, you're relaxed. Your heart's not going a mile a minute. You're not sitting there like this, head hunting anymore. You're out there playing a game of chess. And that's very conducive to being able to enter. And then you go from this relaxed state, again, into this psycho. Because it does you no good to relax when you're close to somebody. You could hit him, he could hit you. That's when you start flying down his throat. That's the point. Okay? Now, let's just come out and... I don't even like to watch this part. Just come out and kickbox. Stay close now. We're just playing, going slow, moving around. Okay, break. See how close they are? Thank you. They can both hit each other. Who's going to win? The guy that's bigger. Okay? Let's put Tyson up against the lightweight. I'll bet on somebody. Okay? So that's the whole point. We can't have that. We have to keep you further away. And when that person encroaches, that's when we intercept. And we can't intercept unless we have a training method that fortifies that, just like anything else. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to bring my guys out and we're going to actually spar. We're going to take a few tools at a time until we get to all the tools. And I'm going to be the guy scoring points. So you get to see how this is done. So you can do it back when you go home. I want you to be able to score your students. It's a game. It should be fun. It should be a giggly, fun game. Okay? That's the psychology of it. You can't get serious about points. How do you relate a point to a street fight? Okay? But it just reprioritizes your brain. It makes you think. It reminds you all the time. 5. Whoa, yeah. Boom. 1. Okay? So you're always reminding yourself what's important. And what is important is intercepting. A kick comes, boom, you blow it away. Yeah, I feel good about that. Okay? Bam, kick him in the thigh once. That was nice. That's the feeling. For me, example, when I play basketball, I can bust a move, make a nice shot. Doesn't really do anything. When I make a nice pass, that's when I get that feeling. Okay? Well, what I want you to do is I want you to get that feeling when you intercept and destroy. I want that to be important to you. If it's not important to you, you'll never do it. You'll just stay in the center of the ring and duke it out and forever only fight in your weight class. So all I'm doing here with my system is just trying to reprioritize things so they're important to you. Okay? Hang with me. Now that you've seen an example of our hierarchy, okay, 5 points to intercept, 4 points to destroy, 3 points to enter, 2 points to fake high and go low, and 1 point just to hit the person. Now we're going to do it in sparring. But just like every other tape we've ever done, just like every sport, you have to have a progression along with your training method. You can't just train. Back in 1950, football players scrimmaged all the time. Back in the late 50s, they scrimmaged 3 times a week. In the 60s, they scrimmaged once a week. Okay? Now, the Dallas Cowboys scrimmage once every 2 weeks. And the rest of the time, you know what they're doing? They're working on their attributes. Okay? So you can't just get in and duke it out all the time, but what you have to do is you have to separate things. That's why we have things called the part method and the whole method. Now I'd love to say to the guys, okay, get in here, throw all your weapons at each other, destroy each other, intercept each other, and I'll just sit here and score the points. Okay? But you can't do that. It'll never work. You have to take each weapon and break it down first. It may take you a week just to learn how to destroy the jab. Okay? So I'm going to accelerate this for the purpose of the video. However, normally we would do this much longer. Okay? Natter, come on out, and Mike. Okay, now keep in mind what you're going to be watching is they're going to be sparring, but when I catch a move, I'm going to come over here and score it, and that's how we get to play the game. And then when we're all done, if he's got 10 and he's got 9, he wins. And just again, it becomes a game to you. Okay, but it's to change your priority. All right. Now we don't want to just duke it out. We want to do it with a progression. So both guys can spar. But the only thing I'm going to allow them to have is the jab. They can jab high, they can jab low, I don't care what they do, but they can only jab. They can't kick, they can't throw any of the other punches. Okay? Jab only. Round 1, and the only thing you can usually do against a jab is either intercept it or destroy it, because it's a very good tool. Okay? Let's try it. Move around. That might have been one, I missed it. Destruction, right there. 4. Okay, destruction, right there. 4. Move around, speed up a little bit now. Boom, 1 single kick. Go ahead, speed up, Mike. That's it. Destruction, 4 points. Destruction, 4 points. Boom, almost a destruction. Cut it a little bit high. Can't give you anything for that. Break. Thank you. Okay. Now, I don't care who wins. They don't care who wins. Okay. It's a game. But the point is, we're reprioritizing in your mind what is important. You're not looking to duke it out. You're looking to get a destruction in. Can you imagine if a 6'8" guy punches you with his best shot? And you just go like this, you're going to break his hand. Fight's already over. Okay? Before you've entered and kneed him in the groin and thumbed his eyes. Okay? So the whole point is you have to destroy. You have to. You have to intercept. Or you have to enter. These things are paramount. And once you're inside, then you can end the fight. So what we have here, we got a couple of destructions. Got a few single direct hits, and we got a couple destructions. Okay? That's how we point it. Now I'd like you to try that. Now the next lines of attack, and this is really what we're working, is line familiarization. Being familiar with what is attacking you so you can destroy it. Okay? The next 2 lines are the shuffle kick to the groin and the rear kick to the thigh. Okay? So the knee either goes in or out. We always, if we get a hit in, we always hit. So I'm always going to give you a point for hit. But the main thing we're emphasizing are those 2 moves. Okay? If an interception occurs while that happens, I'm going to give you 5 points. But you're not trying to put it all together. You're trying to just stress those 2 moves on each other. You're sparring. You're not drilling, you're sparring. But you're sparring in a progression. Like A is a drill, B is a harder drill, C starts to spar, D spars a little harder, E adds more weapons, F, until we get all the way up to Z, where you can just blow smoke. But you can't go from A to Z. You will not be blowing smoke, or at least it won't be the kind we need. Okay, so all we're going to do is shuffle kick the groin, outside kick the thigh. That's the only 2 points I'm going to give you guys credit for. We got Lee and we got Tom. I love these 1-syllable words. Okay, ready? And let's go. Boom. 4 points. 1 point. Good. 4 points, 1 point. That's 5. That's it. That's it. 4 points for the destruction and 4 for the top. Okay, so that's 8. Okay, 4 more points and 1 point for a hit. One more point for one more hit, and 4 points for that destruction there. Okay, break. Okay, see how we're doing it? We're not banging, we're not duking it out, we're not having you throw every single weapon at each other to make it so difficult and you don't pull anything off. We're taking one thing at a time. We're doing it at an accelerated progression for the purposes of the tape, okay? But when you go home, I want you to do it on your own slowly. Okay? Work with a guy. Spend a whole week just having him try to kick your groin. Go ahead, jab my face, let's put on the gloves and try to kick me in the groin. And pat the jab, move around, bam! And just so you get that line down. Pretty soon, there will be nothing this person can throw at you that will not be destroyed. And you're out in the range long enough that he can't hit you anyway. If this person comes in to step in to hit you, to breach that gap, we intercept them. Either eyes, balls, or thigh, or kneecap. So that's the whole point of the game. If he hits you, it hurts him. If you hit him, it hurts him. And on both occasions, we borrow that pain to do the 50-yard dash right down his center line. Grabbing the back of that head, knee in the balls, thumb in the eyes, headbutt in the face, and then starting to get nasty. Okay? But none of that can really happen unless you intercept and destroy and enter. Okay, or go through the scale that we have here. So again, this is a game. It's a game. Okay, maybe one day you have a little trophy and you give it to your kids. Okay, and it becomes a game, but it changes your priorities while you do it. Okay, believe me, just the word point makes the hair stand up on my head. Okay, I'm not trying to digress to a point system, but I do want to change your priorities. And this is the only psychology I can come up with at the moment. I've been doing it 15 years, flying around the country telling people, intercept, intercept, intercept. And they're going, okay. I come back and they keep kickboxing. Now all of a sudden, we have a system in which you can compete and everybody's intercepting. It's amazing, okay? So what we want you to do is take one tool at a time and work with it. The last tools we used were the shot to the groin and the shot to the thigh. All right, let's give it a try. Now, we're going to continue our progression to boxing. I'm going to stick with the jab and the cross right now. We're starting to slowly speed things up, okay? This doesn't mean that if this person comes too close to you, you can't, bam, intercept them with a good thigh shot or groin shot. And it doesn't mean I'm not going to give you 5 points for it, okay? But the main thing is you're stressing 2 tools, okay? The jab and the cross. We can't put all the tools together at one time, at one moment, okay? We will eventually, of course. But for right now, we have to do things in a progression. And our progression will be a jab and a cross, and you will watch either interceptions occur or destructions. Okay, Natter, Pat, come on up. Ready? And go. Okay, 4 points. That's a clean destruction right there. Keep going. Nothing was quite clean enough at that point. Go ahead, move around. Throw that in. Throw that in. Boom. Okay, didn't quite turn that knee out for me. I would have given you 4 for that. Boom. There's some 4-point destruction right there. Okay? 4 points on the knee. Keep moving around now. Keep moving around. Loosen up a little bit. Bam. That's 4 points there. He comes in with almost a straight blast, but I can't give it to you. Wasn't quite enough. Okay? That would have been 7. We're moving around. Okay? Don't forget that blast once in a while. Boom. There's a kick. That's 1 point for a kick. Boom. That's a destruction and 3 points for a straight blast. on your toes, moving around. Notice it's a game of chess, okay? They're figuring out what to do. They're moving, they're thinking. Boom. Okay, break. Now, when I say thinking, that was the wrong word to use. I hope they weren't thinking, okay? I hope they were feeling. I hope they've done this enough times that they weren't thinking, okay? This has to be visceral. It has to be knee-jerk. When some punch comes, you don't block, you don't do this, but boom, you destroy it. Anything that comes in gets destroyed. And if you destroy it and sit there and admire your work while this guy's hopping around, well, that's not going to do you any good either. So you do that destruction, your next visceral thing is to just straight blast straight down his throat when he's on one leg. Okay? Grab the back of his neck and then, all hell breaks loose. Okay? So this, again, is only to get us into trapping range. That's what Attributes 3 is all about. How to get into trapping range. And again, the best way to get in to trapping range is to intercept, destroy, or enter with a blast passively. Those are the best ways. And if you can fake high and go low, that works wonderful. Now, am I saying that if you just hit a guy with a good right hand, bam, knock him backward, and then that will never work? No, I'm not saying that. One punch might work. One swing might work, okay? But if you're fighting somebody very, very good, very, very unlikely you're going to hit him with a single direct attack. It is very unlikely that you're going to hit him even with an attack by combination. You're going to have to fake high and go low. You're going to have to come up with another formula to do this. Okay, now hang with me. Okay. Now, finally what we're going to do is just put it all together. Okay? Intercept, destroy, enter, fake, and punch. Okay? We're not going to isolate the tools. Again, this is a 1-hour tape. This should take you, I don't know, 2 or 3 months, depending on how hard you work, just to get to this point, to where you're throwing anything at each other and trying to destroy it, and then trying to enter, and then trying to headbutt knee and elbow. Okay? You need to do this in a progression. I can't tell you how important that is. Everybody rushes through that. They just want to just, boom, okay, I got it, let's spar. Okay? Well, we're going to do that now. We're going to spar. But you got to remember, it's an accelerated progression. We're only doing it because of the tape. Otherwise, my students at home, they stay on just destroying that jab for 2 months just by itself. But I guarantee one thing, they can destroy the jab. And that's what's important. So please remember this. Okay? So what you're going to watch is the way we spar in long range. You're going to see interceptions. You're going to see destructions. Okay? If it were real, if the destructions were real, the very next thing that would happen is there would be a straight blast running down the center line. If that eye jab was real and the guy shut his eye and we blast and knee him in the groin, I mean, that's what's going to happen in reality. Here, what you're going to see is a destruction, and it'll be like, oh, that was cool. Oh, nice. Okay? No, that wasn't cool and it wasn't nice. That won your fight. Okay? Imagine coming up to a tree and going, boom, and then trying to fight after that. Okay? So you got to keep reminding yourself that we're just faking it here. But out in the street, this stuff works really nice. Okay? So just keep that in mind. Okay, who do we have here? Mike and Natter. Why don't you come on out? Okay, you get to put all your tools together. Long range, move around, stay nice and loose. 4 points, destruction, Natter. I didn't see that, I was writing. Okay, I saw destruction right there, 4 points. Boom. Okay, destruction right there, 4 more points. Straight blast, 3 points. Boom, kick, another straight blast, 3 points that way. That destruction wasn't turned enough. Boom, fake high and goes low, and a straight blast, okay? 2 for that and 3 for that. Boom, nothing. Boom, nothing, missed it. 1 point, 1 hit. Okay, 1 point, 1 hit. Okay, break. Thank you. Now you see, they're not duking it out. You don't cut the tension in the air with a knife on sparring night anymore. It becomes a chess game. And you have a goal, you have an agenda. What is the purpose? It's, I hit your face as hard as I can and you hit mine, we'll see who wins. That's not the agenda. The agenda is try to intercept, try to destroy, try to enter, get into that range, and when you're so close to somebody that you can throw your head in their face and your knee in their balls, you have a real good chance of winning. Okay? The tough part is getting there. That's why Bruce called it way of intercepting. He and Dan were driving down the street, and Dan commented, he goes, you know, Bruce, every time we spar with you, you always seem to just, I don't know, you intercept us before we even go to hit you. Bruce goes, yeah, I do, don't I? Well, what would you call that? And he said, well, in Cantonese, I guess that would be Jeet Kune Do. Okay? And then people say, well, gosh, I'll intercept that. How do you do it? So Bruce writes the book down. He puts on jab, cross, hook kick, round kick. Okay? So people get together and they do those same techniques. And they say, we're intercepting. We're doing JKD. No, you're not intercepting and you're not doing JKD. Okay? You're just kickboxing. Bruce did JKD. Okay? Nobody will ever be like Bruce again. But we can come close. Okay? We can at least do his agenda. Because we have to realize how difficult it is to take a large man out of commission who's swinging wild at you. Unless you get close enough to him that you can slam the top of your head in his face. And it's very, very important. Okay? So now we're putting everything together for you. We're going to go one more round. I want you to pay particular attention to what's going on. Look at this in slow motion. Watch what's happening. It's a chess game. They're not just out there looking to hit each other. Their priorities have changed. They don't care if they hit each other. They care if they intercept each other. And lo and behold, you're going to start doing JKD, way of intercepting. Okay? Tom, come on out. Pat, come on out. Tom and Pat. Okay. Ready? Move around. And go. Loosen up, move around. 1 point. 1 shot. Okay, didn't put that elbow up to destroy it. Straight blast. Boom. Straight blast gives you 3 points. No elbows there, grasshopper. Good. Boom, 1 point. Shot to the groin. Fake, 3 points and a blast. That's 5 point total. 5 point total. Okay, shot to the groin, 1 point. Fake high, go low. Enter, 3 points. Enter again, another 3. Okay? Every time you enter and you grab that neck, I give you something. Okay? If you didn't blast, but at least you got the neck, you get 3 points. Keep going. Boom, 4 points, destruction. And break. Good. Again, that's how we play. We don't even go any harder than that. That's as hard as we spar. Okay? But the idea is there is an agenda there. We're not through the whole agenda yet. Okay? The whole agenda, if we were to be through it, would be right here. I would write the word straight blast right down this guy's throat. Okay? And then over here, I would say grab the back of his neck, thumb his eyes, knee his balls, headbutt his face, and start elbowing. That would complete our agenda. But it's impossible to get to here if you don't do this. It's not impossible, it's difficult. And it's difficult to get here if you don't do this. That's why Bruce intercepted. It's really tough to enter on somebody passively. Try it. Try to just enter on somebody while he's moving around and backing up and boom, 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 hitting you with combinations. That's tough. You need an agenda to get inside to that range. This is our agenda. Now hang with me. Now what I'd like to do is talk to you about, in my opinion, in Bruce's and in Dan's, the least important thing about martial arts, technique. Everybody wants to bring home 1,000 techniques with them. They go to seminars, they take their notes, and they have their techniques. Again, I have every single technique Michael Jordan has, okay? Just not quite as much money. It's not what the technique is, it's how you do it. Now, in this system, it is going to teach us how to enter on an individual. We're going to do the same thing 99% of the time. I used to ask Dan all the time, what would Bruce do when he was sparring with somebody? Bruce would go, oh, he'd actually kick the face, spin kick. I saw him cartwheel and back fist the guy once. I go, you're kidding me. He goes, I said, well, what did he do when he was really serious? Oh, intercept and straight blast. All the time, every time I've ever seen him serious, which is usually once a week. Okay? So that whole point is this interception, and then the straight blast, and then the headbutts, knees, and elbows, that is our foundation. Technique comes from the foundation. You can't put the cart before the horse. You can't make your traps work unless you have a training method, which is our foundation. You need to intercept. You need to blast. How do you enter if this guy's not running backwards? And then you can do your traps. Techniques are for when things screw up in a fight. Again, if you're moving around and some guy goes to swing at you and you go bam and hit him in the eyeball and straight blast down his throat, grab his head, you go boom boom and knee him in the groin, you're going to probably win. You know, that's I don't know what to call that. What technique do you call that? Okay, that's how we fight. Now if, Patrick, say in the process of me blasting, I'm coming in, hitting his face a few times, boom, boom, and I get some obstruction, well, boom, I might have to trap again. I don't know. I don't know what energy I'm going to get. Okay? I have no clue. But then I go right back to my original theme. That's the point. So the techniques are only there if you screw up. And the screw up only happens maybe, I don't know, 1 out of 50 times. So why spend 90% of your day working on something that happens 1 out of 50 times? I would highly recommend that you go through this system, learn how to truly intercept and destroy and enter, learn how to blast, grab somebody's back of their neck, and learn how to headbutt, knee, and elbow. It's the exact same thing I taught the Navy SEALs. It is a very simple system, and there is no better way to take somebody out of commission. All right, you try it now. Now, as a final close, I just want you to remember a few things. People fight differently due to the rules of how they fight. Thai boxers have their ways of fighting. Wing Chun people have their way of fighting. Western boxers have their way of fighting. Kickboxers have their way of fighting. Savate people fight a little bit different. Ground people obviously fight different. The way you train is going to dictate the way you fight. If it's important to you to intercept somebody, and it should be, and if it's important to you to straight blast them, and it should be, and then grab their head and thumb the eyes, headbutt, knee, and elbow, you need to train that way. If you kickbox and expect to intercept, that's like playing basketball and hoping your chess game gets better. So the whole point of this is our training method and how slow we go with it. So the key point that I always want you to remember is go through everything slowly. This is setting us up for our next tape, Attributes 4, and we're going to show you what to do when we get past the VU scale. Hang with me now. Thank you. Hi, I'm Paul Vunak. Welcome to Attributes 4. Attributes 4, again, just like Attributes 3, 2, and 1, are not about technique. They're about training method. Now, we have to assume that you already know the VU scale. You've watched Attributes 3 and you know how to destroy and you know how to enter. So we have to start with this assumption. So you already know long-range fighting, how to intercept a blow or how to destroy a blow. From that point, here's where we continue. Street fights are mainly lost for 2 reasons. Number 1, somebody gets caught in a range that they're not familiar with. They're a boxer and they end up on the ground. Or they're a wrestler and they get punched in the face in the bar or something. Okay? That's number one. Number two, wind, endurance. Okay? These are the two main reasons why most street fights are lost. So therefore, logically, we would back up and say, well, let's come up with a training method to prevent this. So what we have is we have attributes 4, and that's what that's all about. So starting for long range, we have the VU scale, meaning intercept or destroy. It's not my scale. It's Bruce's, it's Dan's. I'm just the conduit, okay? I don't have a name. Now, from your intercepting and destroying, the next main goal that you want is to get into trapping range. Trapping range is what wins fights. We've told you this before in 23 other tapes. If you can headbutt somebody, knee them in the groin, or hit them with a plethora of elbows, that tends to take people out of commission. So the whole purpose for this is to get you from one range to another range to another range comfortably. Now, let's go back to the two ways or reasons why people lose fights. If you don't know how to wrestle and you get caught on the ground, guess the news, you lose, okay? If you don't know how to box and you get this guy up in front of your face throwing a jab at you and you're down here, boom, boom, well, you're going to lose. So number one, we have to have all 4 ranges. We have to. And then number two, we have to go back to the second reason why people lose fights. They get tired. They get winded. And once the wind is out of the body, so is everything else. All the other attributes just go down the tube. Now, our training method involves this. We stay out in long range. We try to intercept. We try to destroy. And then we break into trapping range. And from there, you can't really headbutt each other, okay? So it's sort of not a sparring match at that point, but more of a drill. And you're kneeing, and you're faking the headbutt and thumbing the eyes, and then we go straight to the ground. And then we go through our jiu-jitsu. Everything that Hickson and Hoist and all of our people have taught us. There are millions and millions of wonderful ground fighters out there, and there's so much to learn from them. But the point is, you cannot just be one type of fighter. Not if you want to win street fights. Not if you want to be like a rat, because you don't know where you're going to be. If you're on the ground, it could be 2-on-1. If you're standing up, someone could tackle you. So you want to be like a rat and be able to fight in any range, any way, any style. Okay? That's the key. So, let's get back. We start with long range and we kickbox. We break into trapping range, we simulate our stuff. We drop to the ground, and we do our jiu-jitsu, and we wrestle. We add the bite once in a while, too. Then from there, we pull back up, come back out and kickbox, go back in and trap, go back down to the ground, come back up, go back and kickbox. This process happens over and over again. Now you say, why do you do that? In a fight, if you lose your wind, you lose everything. And the main times in which a person loses their wind is when they go from one range to another. If you're a kickboxer and you end up clenched and all the antagonistic muscles in your body tighten up and you're sitting there freaking out and holding on to this guy and not knowing what to do, you're getting tired. If you're moving out in long range and the guy takes you to the ground and you start flopping around like a fish, you're getting tired. So what we're doing is we're eliminating that neurological process that happens during a fight when you go from one range to another by simply saying, hey, let's train that way. Start here, end up here, go there, come back up to here, go back out to here. And through this accordion effect, our brains are being sort of brainwashed into, I don't care where I fight, find me a spot. Because that's why people lose fights. Either they get caught in a range they're not familiar with, or they get tired. So we're going to use this tape to eliminate both of those reasons. So just hang right with me. Now let's reiterate. There are only 4 ranges of fighting, okay? Kicking, punching, trapping, and grappling, okay? Of these 4 ranges of fighting, logic would dictate that we will go to each person who is a specialist, or each art that are specialists at their fields. So in the kicking range, JKD people look into savate and Thai boxing. In the punching range, JKD people look into just, boom, the Western boxer, the guy that gets paid $10 million to fight. Okay? He doesn't have his kicks to worry about or any other tool. In the trapping range, there's Dan and Asano, and in the grappling range, there's the Gracies. Okay? So we go to the best of each range to train. Now, let's get back to the 2 reasons why people lose street fights. They're unfamiliar with one of those ranges, or they get tired, or a combination of both. They get into a range that they're unfamiliar with, and then they get tired. So the purpose of Attributes 4 is not to teach you a new technique, a new trap, a new punch, a new kick. It is to teach you a training method to develop your attributes. And the attribute we want to develop are 2, actually. One is to keep emotionally always cool, always relaxed. Okay? Boom. Turn on once in a while, and then boom, relax. That's number 1. Not tight and tense all the time. That's a 2-minute fight. Some fights could last for an hour. You don't know. Attribute number 2, we want you to become familiar with every range that there is to fight in, be it kicking, punching, trapping, or grappling. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you a drill that blends the 2 reasons why people lose fights. This is going to hopefully improve our odds of winning a fight. So what we do is we start out again, I'll repeat this, in long range. We're going to work our way in. When we are in long range, we're going to be looking to intercept or destroy, okay, and fight our way. Then we work our way in to trapping. Trapping, we're just going to do kind of like Thai boxing, okay? We've mentioned this before. We're not going to really headbutt each other, okay? We just kind of train, simulate. And then boom, we hit the ground. That's when we kick into training. Jiu-jitsu, wrestle, okay? Get back up again, kickbox, okay? This is our goal. We go in and out, like I said earlier, the accordion effect. So emotionally, we don't care. Am I out here fighting you? Am I down here fighting you? Am I up here? Where are we at? Am I in headbutt range? Am I way out here? I don't care. Hopefully, I would like to fight you in trapping range. 99 out of 100 fights, I will fight you in trapping range because I know there's so many wrestlers and so many kickboxers that are so good. However, if we do end up in one of those other ranges, we will have something to deal with. And that's the purpose of Attributes 4. Hang in there. Now remember, the points that we're making here are both psychological and physical, okay? Or I should say mental and physical. In other words, if you were hooked up to an EEG, and if you were out in long range kickboxing and you're a kickboxer, all of a sudden somebody grabs you, okay, your EEG might do this, okay? And gets the news. You start panicking and getting tired, okay? Let's say you're a boxer and all of a sudden you hit the ground and now you're flopping around, you have no clue what to do. Same thing. You started this, you're doing great, all of a sudden you hit the ground, boom, there it goes. And the minute, neurologically, we start freaking out, the wind goes. And the minute the wind goes, the body goes. So the main purpose of this drill is very ambiguous. It's going to be up to you to truly understand what this is about. You have to get from range to range to range without having any emotional content. It's just got to be, I don't care. I don't really give a shit. You want to fight standing up? You want to go on the ground? You want to trap? Okay? In reality, we're always looking to trap. And we've explained that to you for many, many years. Okay? But if you end up in long range And sometimes you have to get there to get into trapping anyway, or if you end up on the ground, or when you're on the ground, his friends come, or cops come, or whatever, and you got to get back up again, okay? You're not going to freak out, because you're going to have that accordion effect. And that's all we're looking for here, okay? So the guy's going to start out in long range. I'm going to dictate it. Just like everything else we do it with a progression. So I'm not going to say, Mike, Natter, just spar, go. Okay? I'm going to say jab first. Then it'll be jab cross. And we'll work our way through the progression. And this is how I want you to train at home. Okay? So guys, come on in. You can spar. We're not going to put our gloves on because once we hit the ground, the gloves kind of screw things up. Okay? So we're going to box gently, if there is such a thing. And we're just using the jab. Okay? Besides, they're expendable. Okay, go ahead, guys. That's a destruction. 4 points. There's 4 more. Time. And I have to start out by saying this. Notice that every time one is going to start to get a little bit too close, that guy gives them a little kick. We always do that. Regardless of what tool that we train with, we never let the guy get into kickboxing range or boxing range. We always keep them out in JKD range, which starts here and ends up here. Okay? So they're always going to give each other a little thigh kick to say, you're not allowed to come that close. And then the destructions will come from that. And this will be a given for all of our drills from here on out. Okay, continue please. Tie up. Can't really spar here. Kind of training, kind of drilling. Few elbows, heads up, knees. Working that range. Get used to it. Emotionally, they haven't changed. They're just as relaxed as when they were in long range. Hit the ground. And I hear sirens coming. Back up again. Keep going. Get one more shot in before the 5-0 comes. There we go. Break. Good. Now, what do we do here? We started from long range. We went into trapping range. Went out to boxing range. Went on the ground. Went back up. Doesn't matter. So what's going to catch us in the fight? Off guard. It's not going to be a range. We're used to it. We do this all day long, okay? Is it going to be wind? No, because since we do this all day long, we develop wind. So this is the main purpose of Attributes 4, is to get you to understand what Bruce has been trying to tell you for 25 years, since 1962. And that is that all fights are fought in 4 ranges: kicking, punching, trapping, and grappling, period. And if you're going to pick one of those 4, or all of those 4 ranges, you should pick the best person in kicking, the best kind of person in boxing, the best kind of person in trapping, and the best kind of person on the ground. And we're not talking about sticking in a video or picking up a book. We're talking about training with them. So you actually get to train with the best on the ground, and then the best boxer, and then the best trapper, which is difficult to find, and then a real good kicker. Okay? Now you know all 4 ranges. You know in your heart you want to fight out of trapping range, and you know in your heart that 99 out of 100 fights you're going to do that because it's so important to you. But if something else happens, we've got to back up. Now hang in there. Now, as we continue our progression, we're going to throw in one more punch, the cross. Okay? Remember, every time somebody gets a little bit too close to us, boom, shuffle kick to the balls, rear kick to the thigh, or a G-tech right on the kneecap. Okay? That's always a given. Okay? So you'll hear me repeat that. Those three things. We never allow somebody to come that close to us to where they can hit us. It's impossible to destroy or intercept when you're in the same range as he's in. So you want to shuffle to get him, but you want to have him to encroach to get you. And when he encroaches, then you intercept. So please, don't forget that. So the main thing we're working here are the jab and the cross. Those are the main two things. However, if you see a little kick to the groin or a kick to the thigh, all that is saying is, you're coming too close to me. Stay away. And that is our way of training. And we do this with everybody. That's intercepting. That's 5 points. Okay? So, with our progression, we don't want your students starting out going, anything you want, go. So we did a jab. Now we're going to add from the jab the cross. Okay? Tom, Patrick? One point for a shot to groin. I'm going to count the VU scale out here just for fun of it. Okay, straight blast into a headbutt, knee, and elbow. That'll be 3 points for an entry. So we're still doing the scale out in long range. Okay, 1 point for a kick. Could have been the groin. Boom. Got 2 points there, and we enter. Okay, this is not sparring, but yet they're training. There's headbutts, there's knees, there's elbows, there's thumbs in the eyes, there's everything going on at the same time. Now they hit the ground. Now we continue the ground game. Now we go to the bite. Find it when it's appropriate. Go back up. Spar. Tie up. Break. We don't care what range we fight out of. We don't care if we're on the ground, if we're standing up. What's going to surprise us in a fight? He's going to take us to the ground. We do that all the time. He's going to kick us. He's going to punch us. The big surprise is going to be when we get into trapping range. And it'll be his prize, not ours. Okay? 99 out of 100 times, you're going to go in with a straight blast. We, for this drill, kind of both walk in and tie up and do a little bit of Thai boxing. Okay? But that would not be the way we would do it. The way we would do it is go from long range, intercept to destroy something, and then if it were real, and if it were a real kick or a real shot to the groin or a real shot to the eyes or a real broken hand, we would straight blast down the face and get into headbutts, knees, and elbows. And if, and only if, we end up on the ground, then we get into the ground game. And if somebody is better than you at the ground game, after they've been headbutted, kneed, and elbowed, they're also going to get bitten. So this is the whole game. This is how to be a rat, so you can adapt to any situation. Now hang in there with me. Now as we continue, we're going to add a few more lines of attack. And again, gradually, this has to be done. The secrets in martial arts, okay, are not in techniques. If there are any secrets in the world, they're in training methods. And if there is any secret to any training method, it is that you have to do it in a progression. You cannot just learn something like that. First you learn the letters, and then you learn how to spell, then you learn how to make the words in the paragraphs, and then you learn how to write. And then you have different levels of writers. Okay, martial arts are the same way. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to spar. We still always have that groin shot in case he gets too close. In case he gets too close, boom, we intercept, or we kick that thigh. Okay, we're going to stay with the jab and the cross. Okay, because we're progressing. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, Mike, I want you to put in high kicks. Nat or you blow them away. That's it. Both can enter. Both can blast. Okay, both will still go into Thai boxing. Both will hit the ground. All we're doing is adding just yet one more tool. These tools that we add every 2 minutes during the tape should be added approximately once a week. at home. Okay? Again, we're doing this at an accelerated pace to be within the confines of a videotape. Okay? I would not want you to try to do this at home this quickly. Okay? You need to go through this slow. All right, here we go. Guys, come on in and play with it. Go. Boom. Destruction, 4 points. So that jab out too, that's it. Break, don't move. Now look how far they are away from each other. This is the range that they have been maintaining throughout their entire sparring session. Now go into kickboxing range, please. Thank you. That's all I wanted to see. Okay, I can't see it too long. Okay, that is not the range you want to fight out of. Okay, you want to fight out of the range they're fighting out of. You have to know how important this is. You have to know. There's no way he could destroy those roundhouse kicks if he was this close. You have to keep the distance. And the only way to keep the distance is to intercept. That's why it's called Jeet Kune Do, way of intercepting, not way of kickboxing. Okay, let's do it again. Continue. Tie up. Hit the ground. Look for the bite. Good. Come up. Keep going. Fight your way up. Go. Tie up. Separate. Spar. Break. There we go again. So what we've done is we've added yet another tool, the high line, another line of attack, the high round kick. Pretty soon we have all the attacks coming and we just spar it. But you go through it one at a time. Now we're going to put it all together. Anything you want to do in long range, any punch, any kick. Hopefully you're going to try to destroy it or intercept it. Okay? 99% of the time after you would do that, okay, Patrick? Okay, say he jabs me, okay, when I destroy it, 99% of the time, okay, I'm just going to blast him until I get his head. Jab, please, again. Okay, bam, boom, boom, and then I get into this game. We're not going to get to the ground, okay, hopefully. However, for purposes of training, we want to tie up and do the Thai boxing and trapping. So I need to keep reminding you of that. But please do not forget the effect and the beauty of the Jik Chin Choi, because that's 95% of what JKD is all about, is intercepting and straight blasting. However, two people at the same time trying to do this drill straight blasting will turn into a different type of game, okay, in which we'll get into later. So for right now, they get to kick, punch, anything they want from long range. Tie up, go to the ground, and get our accordion effect. Okay? All things go. Progression's over. All right, ready? Go. 5 points for a destruction, 1 point for a kick. Okay, almost an interception. Boom, destruction coming in. Tie up right there, go. Elbows, knees, loosen up a little bit, relax. Boom. Separate. Hit the ground, now, go. Roll now, roll. Let each other have position. Just play a little bit, play. Play. You're looking for the bite, you're looking for the eye gouge. Too many good wrestlers out there. Keep moving, keep moving. Pass the guard, there you go. And stand up, I hear sirens. 5-0's coming, let's go, move around, move around. Look around, look around. Make sure there's no friends. Okay, let's go, get back and fight. Tie up now. Boom. One more headbutt. Now. Boom. Break. That's it. Okay? We have slightly extended this fight. Okay? The first move probably would have won the fight for somebody. Okay? The first destruction, or the first eye jab, or the first kick to the balls. Okay? The straight blast would have really helped the situation, and then the headbutts, knees, and elbows, I think, might have done something. Once they hit the ground, the biting also would help. But you got to remember, this is a drill. So we're playing the game, and it looks so harmless. Like two tiger kittens biting each other's neck all the time. But when they grow up, guess the news, they're not playing anymore. They're really going for the neck. Okay? So what we do is we have a way of sparring that it's not that tense. It's that again, I use the analogy, you don't need to cut the tension in the air during sparring night. I mean, I remember the days, hey, I remember you from last Tuesday, come on. Okay? That's not where we're at now. We are at moving around, slowly, having an agenda. Okay? With this type of fighting, you can fight until you're 80 years old. You don't have to train 10 hours a day, or 1 hour a day. Maybe 1 hour a week at most. Now let's look for round 3 coming up. Hang with me. Now, everybody wants to know about trapping. How do energy drills fit in? Where do they fit in? Why do we have energy drills? What is energy? Okay? It's sensitivity. It is feeling the body's pressure. Okay? So we therefore have energy drills if something screws up in our game plan. If I go for my interception or my destruction, I'm blasting this guy's face and he puts up a hand. Now I have to feel which way that hand is going. So we have energy drills to do that. You need to understand that most of the time people don't block. Or when the hands do fly up, you just knee them in the balls, and for some unlikely reason the hands go down and you headbutt them in the face. Okay? Kind of works like a Swiss watch. But if you did happen to get two hands in front of you, you need to have a way to deal with it. Again, just if Murphy's Law comes into play. So we have drills called Chi Sao and Lap Sao and Hubud. But the problem is, we have people that say, okay, let's do our Chi Sao, and they get in their little thing and they start rolling, okay? And then they say, okay, we're done with that. Now let's go out and box. So then they get their gloves on and they box, but they never put it together. And the key is you have to put this art together. That's like having a 5 o'clock Thai boxing class, a 6 o'clock Savate class, a 7 o'clock Wing Chun class, and an 8 o'clock Silat class, and expect for people to know how to blend the arts together. The beauty of JKD is in the blend of the arts. And if you segregate them, you're losing the essence. So under that same mentality, we're not going to segregate our energy drills. We're going to keep them within the confines of combat. So just like bookends, they're going to spar from long range. But when they do get into trapping range, instead of tying up into the Thai boxing position, I'm going to have them go to Chi Sao and Lap Sao drill and some Hubud. And then they're going to go to the ground. And while they're doing their Chi Sao, Lap Sao, and Hubud, they're blending 15, 20, 30 other arts in there. Savates flying, foot sweeps are flying, headbutts, everything's going. So what we're doing is we're blending. We're putting the self-perfection with the self-preservation to make things combative, to make it functional. So you're not just another guy out there that knows 2 Pak Saos, 5 energy drills, and can't spar with them. All right, ready? And begin. She's out right there. Hubud. Hit the ground. His buddy's car is coming. He's got 10 friends with him. And you're on the ground. I think it'd be time to get up. Let's go. Ho! Keep going. Move around. Tie up. And break. Good. Now this time what we've done, as we've stuck those drills of Chi Sao and Lop Sao and Hubud, we have stuck those drills in the middle of two combative points. So our brain emotionally is already combative, and it doesn't turn into this antiseptic drill. It turns combative. Because when you have some boxer up jabbing that jab in front of your face and moving, you try to trap him and see how easy it is. Okay? This is why we have training methods to fortify this. Hang in there. Now we're going to do virtually the same thing. We're going to be in long range and we're going to be destroying the limbs. The only difference is we're going to knife spar. Okay? The more elements that you can put into play in this equation, in this foundation that I'm giving you, the easier it becomes. The more you can be like water and fit into any container. You don't know if you're going to be in a knife fight. You don't know if you're going to bust a bottle and use that. You don't know if it's going to be 2-on-1. You don't know if you're going to be on the ground. None of this is ever available to you until it comes. None of this information. So what we're going to do is we're going to knife spar, bringing out the cat-like qualities. But then again, emotionally, just like in a fight, you have to be a little bit schizophrenic like Sybil, okay? Emotionally, we're going to go from a cat fight here, boom, to trapping here. And then we go back to the ground and we relax again until we can find that lock or that choke or that bite. Then we get back up and we move around again. So, once again, if this were an EEG, it would be like this. And then it would go like that. And then it would go like that. And that's the whole point. Okay? This is not a drill to teach you techniques. Techniques you can learn anywhere. This is to teach you how to fight. Okay, knife sparring, ready? And begin. They're going to always use their kicks. That's a given. Throw the knives, kickbox. Tie up. Hit the ground. No emotional change. We just go from one mentality to the other. Stand up. Continue. Now go find your knife? No. Okay. So, where we're at here is, again, emotionally, we don't care. You have to have that attitude. People don't have that attitude in a street fight. The minute the first thing screws up, they freak out. And then the heart starts doing this, the endurance goes out the window, and they lose the fight. Okay? That's not being a rat. Being a rat is, I don't care what happens. You can drop them out of a 2-story building, flush them down a toilet. It'll be the only thing that'll live through a nuclear war. Okay? You have to be able to adapt to whatever comes, like water. Okay? Are we knife fighting? Is it a bottle? Is it a stick? Is it a pool table? Is it a pool cue? Is it 1-on-1? Is it 2-on-1? Are we on the ground? Are we trapping? Are we boxing? These are all elements that go into street fighting, and you need them all. Yes, granted, we have a game plan. Yes. Blow something away, intercept something, straight blast right down this fucker's throat, headbutt, knee, and elbow him. That's our game plan. Okay? But will things screw up from there? Will we deviate from that once in a while? Yes, this might happen. Maybe he's got a friend. Maybe a bottle comes into play. Maybe a knife comes into play. So we have a game plan, but at the same time, you have to be like a rat. Now hang in there. Well, I hope you enjoyed Attributes 4. Just like Attributes 1, 2, and 3, they're not about techniques. They're about training methods to develop qualities that help your techniques work. Attributes 1 and 2 give us the basics. Attributes 3 taught us how to intercept. And Attributes 4 kind of put it all together for us. So that's the key. Remember one thing if you don't remember anything else from this tape, and that is, it is the qualities of a person that win a fight, not the technique. Thank you. Hi, I'm Paul Vunak, and welcome to Attributes 5. Attributes 5 is about self-perfection. It is the final tape to our Attributes series. Think about wood and sanding a piece of wood with coarse sandpaper. And as you go on, the paper gets finer and finer until finally you're polishing that wood. Well, that's what Attributes 5 is all about. It's about techniques. And as Bruce would say, techniques are not the most important thing in a fight. The most important thing in a fight is the heart, your killer instinct, your timing, your footwork, your spatial relationship, your line familiarization. And finally, as we work our way up the ladder, we finally get to techniques. So what I would like you to do is observe the movements we're doing, follow along with the segments and the techniques that we are doing, and these are techniques that are going to bring out body mechanics in you in such a way to perfect your movement. That's what this tape is all about, self-perfection. Now hang in there with me. Now remember, this is a tape about self-perfection. So what I've done is I've put together a series of traps that I think brings out the body mechanics, the timing, the spatial relationship, all of the points that are addressed in self-perfection. Okay? Remember, the key point about self-perfection is the fact that we have the weaponry. A lot of times, for example, Patrick, let's say if I did figure out over 10 or 15 years of boxing to destroy this punch, it might be a little bit wide, might be a little bit clumsy, uneconomical. But just by virtue of putting the knife in the scene, when that jab comes in, boom, it's got to be tight. And I have to have the mechanics when I cut the arm, not to cut myself on the way. So I have to have the body mechanics. That's where we get our mechanics from. Now, that same mentality, boom, is with the empty hand. If I were to take now an outside deflection, boom, boom, that's where I'm killing the nerve there. Now, if you notice, my hip is facing exactly toward his hand. Bam, I'm right there for the savate kick. Would I do that in reality? Of course not. It's the tape about self-perfection. Okay? So where do we get the outside deflection from? Weapons. Give me an angle 2. If we go too wide, it will not work. Everything you do with the weapon has to be in tight. If it's not in tight, okay, and if you're giving a stem, you're going to get your hand hit. So this is the first thing you learn with the weapon. So when he feeds the angle 2, boom, I'm keeping everything nice and tight. Now how does this translate to empty hands? I do the same thing, my gunting, and then boom, right there, nice and tight. Okay, so let's try it slowly. He jabs, gunting, outside deflection, hit, boom, kill that. Your hip is pointed, bam, fire your shot. Let's get that far. Now, let's pick up just where we left off, Patrick. Okay? Patrick throws the jab. As the jab comes, boom, we do our first gunting. Now, the arm is still out for some reason. We haven't killed it quite enough. So as we do that gunting, boom, here, that's our outside deflection. Again, while the outside deflection is happening, the hip is just ready to go. So watch my hip. I'm going to go in slow motion. This is 1, look at my right hip, 2, and now watch my hip, 3. That way, the second that I hit this arm, boom, when I'm here, the minute I hit the arm, bam, that's where the kick can come in. Okay? That's the idea. Now, as he comes in, boom, I go here, boom, that's my kick, bam. Now I step out on an angle. If I do not step out on an angle, I'll have to knee. Okay, I want to finish this up with a kick. So, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then, boom, that's our kick. Okay, so again, boom, boom, bam, bam. Now I step into here. If you notice, my move is right after I bury that kick, I place my hand here. This is where we go to Tai Chi. Okay, one more time, real slow. Gunting. Outside deflection. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom. Now we sail. Okay? Let's try to get that far. Now, we're going to follow along with our progression and end up with a takeout blow, a headbutt, a knee, or an elbow. Every sequence of traps that I teach you, I'm always going to end up with some way to just completely take the guy out, if we haven't done that by now. Okay, Patrick. So we start from the beginning, and he jabs, okay? Go nice and slow. That's our first gunting, okay? When I get the gunting, boom, I go outside deflection, bam, okay? That comes, boom, to this shot. I'm going to step out here, bam, and kick. The minute I step out and kick, boom, that's my Tai Chi shot. I don't want to shove this guy too far because then he's out of trapping range. So I give him a little shove, just enough to get his neck. Boom. And now, bam, I'm back into this, bam, and that. And that'll be our follow-up. Okay, so that will end the sequence of the first trapping segment. Now, in this next segment, we're going to predicate everything upon the watik. The watik in weapons means that it retracts. Okay, Trevor? If we were just to follow through with the weapon, okay, this is called a lob tick. Okay, that motion can go in any angle. Now, if we backhand and we bring the stick back, this is called a watik. You can go high, low, high. You can go on the inside and boom, boom, boom. Okay? Now, this germane to empty hands would be, if he gives me a jab, I go boom, I go through it. That is a lob tick. But if I choose to stay on the inside and go for that eye shot, and I'll do this slow, is we hit the nerve. But as we hit the nerve, it kind of reverberates, but boom, right to the eye. Now, from this shot, all I want to do is pull right to here. Okay? So once we've destroyed the nerve in the arm and poked the eye, that kind of gels the body for the next move we're going to do. And this is called Dumag. Okay? So he jabs. Again, we're not going through. Sometimes it's a bigger bicep. You don't know what happens when you hit a bicep all the time. So it's going to retract. Boom, right in the eye. And then bam, back to this. Okay, so let's see if we can get that far. The key important point here is that when you pull the man in, you're grabbing your own arm and pulling. Trevor, let me borrow you one more time on that. Okay, we get the destruction here. We reverberate to the eye. Now, if you notice, I don't hold his hand, but I'm grabbing my own hand and I'm pulling to the headbutt. And that's where we're going to stop you. We'll take it from there. Now let's continue down the path that we've been doing, Trevor. Now remember, when somebody throws a jab at you in a fight, first of all, you're moving around, okay? Hopefully he's not even going to get in close enough to jab you, okay? As soon as he gets a bam, I'm going to hit his groin, okay? Or as soon as he comes in with it, boom, I'm going to intercept him, okay? If we happen to be in jab range, this is when we would do our move, okay? Bruce used to say you hit the closest target with your longest weapon. So if we're in boxing range and I can't kick him, then the jab comes. Sometimes you just have to parry it. Okay? You're not always going to get a destruction. So when you train this at home, don't be rhythmic about it and do it every time. But move around, and once in a while just pat it, and then boom, get in. Okay? Now as we do our move, let's say for example, we didn't hit the bicep quite hard enough, or we missed the eyeball, or this guy's just a little bit cantankerous and just doesn't cooperate with us. Okay? So we get up to here and be able to here, but as I go here, he's just a strong guy, and I can't bend that arm. Okay? What would make me bend that arm in a fight is the fact that I actually landed that shot in the nerve, and I actually took the eye. So if we do happen to miss that, okay, boom, and I can't get that, boom, then I just come back up and wrench it on this side. Now that headbutt becomes a lot easier. Okay? So the move we're doing, going again slow, is 1, 2, but he fights you here. Now which way is he fighting? He is bending his arm this way. So we're just going to help it along a little bit. We're just going to turn it and wrench it. Once it's broke, that brings the head into play a lot easier. Give it a try. Now moving along, let's completely go through our sequence all the way up to the follow-up. Okay? The follow-up is going to be a foot sweep in which we could or could not go into the choke depending on the situation. If you choose to go to the ground, we're going to go to the choke. Otherwise, when you have them right here, you're just elbowing the spine. You'll see what I mean. Okay, Trevor. So we start with a jab. Bam! That's our first shot. Okay? That's the witik. Okay? Again, remember the lob tick goes through, and the witik, boom, stays in. Okay, now when I come in here, he fights me here. So I go back up to here, boom, back down to here. Now notice where my left hand is at. I'm already positioned perfect to control him. This is my dumog. Okay, this is the dumog control. Shoving this bone anywhere you want from this position is how you can move a man. So after we've gotten boom, 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 okay, now I control, bam, just to get my last shot in. Now I'm going to come back, boom, elbow the deltoid and foot sweep. Okay, this is where I just would finish the fight with an elbow straight to the back. If you want to go into this now, boom, we can go right into our choke and end the fight. During our next set of combinations now, we're going to have a different type of body mechanic that will be brought out, because the gunting that we'll be doing will not be a rear hand gunting, it'll be a front hand gunting. So again, it creates a different type of body mechanic. These are all moves to help your self-perfection. Again, icing on the cake. Okay, Brian, come on out. Now, Brian throws a jab. Generally speaking, we pat the jab here. We can pat it and come back with ours. We're used to taking the front hand, jab please, boom, and hitting the inside of the bicep with that. But there will be an occasion in which you're tipped a little bit this way, and that jab comes, and it's easier for you to take it this way. And if you fortify that with footwork, as the jab comes, bam, that's right in the eyes, boom, and then I just come with a double shot here. Now notice when I hit that, that's boom, that's my arm wrench. The arm wrench has got to be there. Now the shoulder's just looking at me, boom, here. If I want to get nasty, I just shove up here, boom, and take the throat. Now I'm just going to wrap the neck, and I'm going to fall. I'm just going to basically pile drive right on the cement. As I pile drive the head on the cement, I'm going to wrap the legs and squeeze. Okay, this should finish it up. Now on this particular segment of trapping, we're going to stress rhythm. We're going to stress half beats. That's what this is for. In terms of our self-perfection, a trapper needs to have rhythm, and he needs to insert half beats while he's trapping, just as a boxer does. Imagine if you have a 5 o'clock jab class and a 6 o'clock cross class and a 7 o'clock hook class. Okay? It would never work. You have to put them together. If you don't put your punches together and put them together in a way that has rhythm, you're not going to be able to box. So martial arts is the same way. Now when we have a double stick in our hand, you have to have rhythm. Nothing gives you rhythm and timing. Nothing brings out timing and half beats better than the double stick. Let me show you that. And then we're going to show you how it relates to empty hands, okay? This is just standard 6. So let's call that a beat and that a beat. Each click is a beat. 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1.5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, 4, 5, 6. So I can insert that half beat anytime I want. It becomes obvious when you have a weapon in your hand. Okay? Because they're going, there's got to be rhythm, there's got to be beats. Otherwise it would be too structured, too antiseptic. Okay? Now how does this relate to empty hands? Okay? As he jabs and I do my gunting, let's just consider this. Boom! One beat. Okay? The gunting and the back fist. Okay? I might have put that in between. Excuse me. Get that out of me. Okay? So as he jabs, boom! That's one beat. Now in between that and that, I'm going to put in that. The oblique kick. So if you listen, ba-ba-bow. Okay? I'm getting all 3 beats. Again, please. Ba-ba-boom. Okay? That's the same thing with the double stick. So try to insert the oblique kick in between the bicep shot and the back fist. Now in this particular segment, remember, we're emphasizing half beats. So the half beat that we inserted was the oblique kick in between this glinting and the backhand. Okay? Now we're just going to follow up with our traps and introduce more half beats until we finally get to the follow-up. Again, it is so important to have rhythm in trapping. That takes away all of the antiseptic feeling that you get. For example, when you work on the mukjung dummy and it's you just can't fight that way. It'd be like getting up on the heavy bag and going 102, 103, 104. You just got to get up and flow. This is what Bruce was trying to tell people. Okay? So with that in mind, let's work on some more rhythm. Okay, Tim, come on in. Now remember, the jab comes in between this and this is one beat. Okay, we got that far. We put the half beat in here, which is the oblique kick. Okay, so this is as far as we've gotten. So right here is my last shot. Now I could consider this a beat and this a beat. Okay, and then this and this and this can be a beat. So the rhythm can be bam, 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 bam. Okay, that can all be one flow. Or I can go 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, how I structure the beats tells me how many times I can hit this person. Plus it throws off his psyche. We're beating him emotionally. So hang in there. Now remember, as I said in the beginning, this is the icing on the cake, Attributes 5. This is about self-perfection. You already have to have your basics down. Not only do you have to have them down, you have to practice them on a regular basis. All of the traps you learned will do you absolutely no good in this tape if you don't work your basics. If you don't get out there and punch and kick on your heavy bag. Without that, you might as well bought Raiders of the Lost Ark. In fact, it's cheaper. Now, what you're going to watch me do is just sharpen my tools on the bag. The key point that I want you to see here is that I'm always out in long range. I always shuffle to hit the bag. Shuffle kick or shuffle jab. Once I'm in, I'll hit it with a flurry of punches. In lieu of the punches in a real fight, it would probably be a straight blast and then headbutts, knees, and elbows. I'm just trying to now sharpen my tools. So you're going to watch me get in, do my thing, and then get back out again. That's the main thing. Once in a while, I'll throw a high kick up. Obviously, we'd never do that in a fight. We'd never kick a man in the face. We'd never punch him in the toe. But for training, for self-perfection, you'll see a few savate kicks. Well, I hope you enjoyed Attributes 5. This is about self-perfection, but I want you to remember that self-perfection and self-preservation go hand in hand. They all belong to the same matrix. For example, self-preservation is going to give you the heart. It's going to give you the attributes. It's the sparring, it's the wrestling, it's the boxing. Self-perfection will give you the body mechanics. The body mechanics are what take a big man out of commission. Anybody can throw their fist at somebody's face. Anybody can headbutt somebody. But unless they have the quote-unquote self-perfection to do it with the proper body mechanics, it's going to do you no good. So this tape is helping our street fighting in an indirect way. This is why we blend self-preservation with self-perfection. And close on this note. Thank you very much.